So good evening, everybody. I now call to order the regular meeting of the City Council and Housing Authority for Tuesday, May 5th, 2026. Now, please stand and join me in the singing of the pledge of the national anthem, and then we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. You sounded beautiful. So now's the time for our moment of solemn expression, and we're led again by Pastor Emeritus Dave Mann of Calvary Chapel. So Pastor Emeritus, Mann, you have the floor.
We thank God for the privilege of prayer. We come together once again and ask for a fresh blessing upon our council meeting this evening and with the business matters and decisions that are before us. Bless our mayor, each council member, all our city officials and staff. We recognize our police department, chief of police, the entire police force and staff, the fire department, fire chief, fire marshal, EMS, and all emergency response crews here in the city. We mention our public works and staff, our city utilities, our Mesa Water District, all the businesses and residents residing here in Costa Mesa. Lord Jesus, we thank you for your continued presence, guidance, protection, and love towards us and our city. We pray the same for our neighboring cities and our entire country, and we ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. All right.
Thank you, Pastor. Great job. Now we're going to go to our roll call. Madam Clerk, would you please do the roll call?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The record will reflect that all council is present.
Great. City Attorney, do you have a closed session report?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There was no reportable action taken in closed session, but we will be resuming closed session at the conclusion of the regular meeting.
All right, thank you very much. So we have one presentation tonight, and that's for 2026 Bike Month. And so this presentation was, we're doing it at the request of Councilmember Reynolds, who many of you know is very much a bike advocate and bike safety advocate. And she's really, at least on social media, I've been noticing promoting Bike Month. So she's going to take over for one section, and then I'm going to read excerpts from the proclamation. You have the floor.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I would argue that all of us up here are bike advocates and safety advocates, and I think a lot of the success in our city is because of our council's support. So, and yes, I've got myself into a little bit of a challenge this month to be excessive on social media about biking. So this will be one of those many activities. So thanks everyone for being here tonight. We are recognizing Bike Month. This is a time to celebrate the many benefits that bicycling brings to our community, from improving public health and well-being to supporting a more sustainable and connected city. Here in Costa Mesa, we have seen growing enthusiasm for biking, whether it's for commuting, recreation, or simply enjoying our neighborhoods and open spaces. As a city, we remain committed to enhancing mobility options and making it safer and more convenient for people of all ages and abilities to choose bicycling as part of their daily lives. These efforts are not just about transportation, they're about strengthening our community, improving our quality of life, and creating a city that is accessible and welcoming to everyone. We are proud of the progress being made and look forward to continuing this momentum in the years ahead.
Thank you, Council Member. Now we're going to present the proclamation to our Public Works Director, Raja Setharaman. So if you could make your way slowly to the podium, and then while I read rather long excerpts from the proclamation. Throughout the month of May, the city of Costa Mesa celebrates biking and the freedom, joy, and health and community benefits biking brings to residents and visitors. From May 11th through May 17th, 2026 is recognized as Bike to Work Week, and May 15th, 2026 is recognized as Bike to Work Day, encouraging residents to experience the benefits of commuting by bicycle. Bicycling promotes physical activity, improves public health, supports mental well-being, and contributes to a more sustainable community by helping reduce congestion, emissions, and parking demand. The city of Costa Mesa recognizes that safe and accessible bicycling infrastructure is essential to a balanced transportation system and remains committed to expanding mobility options for all. The city has demonstrated its commitment to active transportation through the completion and advancement of key projects. Some of those are included as follows: the Adams Avenue and Pine Creek Drive multimodal intersection improvements, which received multiple regional awards; the Fairview Road Mobility and Safety Improvement Projects, recognized for excellence in transportation and planning; the Mendoza Drive Class 2 bike lane, the Adams Avenue Bike Facility Project, and the Placentia Avenue Class 4 cycle track gap enclosure. The proclamation goes on. The city continues to invest in community programs and infrastructure that support bicycling, including the Cruise the Loop Community Festival, bicycle safety education workshops, walk and roll to school events, installation of bicycle racks citywide, and the development of the Safe Routes to School action plan. The city has secured significant grant funding for active transportation improvements and initiated design of additional projects, including the Fairview Road Active Transportation Improvements Project, while continuing to engage the community through outreach and workshops. The city of Costa Mesa has been recognized as a bronze bicycle-friendly community by the League of American Bicyclists, reflecting its ongoing commitment to improving conditions for bicyclists. Education and awareness efforts during Bike Month and beyond help improve safety, reduce collisions, and foster a culture of mutual respect among all roadway users. The city of Costa Mesa encourages all residents to participate in the National Bike Month by riding safely, wearing helmets, following traffic laws, and sharing the road responsibly. Now, therefore, I, John Stevens, the mayor of the great city of Costa Mesa, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2026 as National Bike Month in the city of Costa Mesa, and encourage all residents to take part in activities that promote bicycling, safety, and sustainability throughout the community. Now, Director Setharaman, what could you possibly add to all the words that I just read?
Mr. Mayor, City Council. Yeah, the proclamation says everything. But I want to thank this council and prior councils for all your support in getting to where we are with active transportation in the city. I want to thank our Transportation Services Manager Paul Martin here and our Active Transportation Coordinator Brett Tensio Thomas for their efforts, and our committee, Active Transportation Committee, for everything they do to encourage what we do for active transportation in the city. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Director. You've got a great department. Great department and great leadership right there. You got it, and you know how to hire people and promote them. So let's present the proclamation and let's take a photo with each other. Come on up.
Should I just jump in? So,
Okay,
Paul,
Councilmember Reynolds wants to say a few additional
Paul
words.
and Brett Tensio, and please relay this to the rest of your team as well. I'm really glad that we're taking this time to give this proclamation and specifically honor our staff here at City Hall. The mayor read a long list of projects. We see those projects in the community. But I just want to relay a few additional thoughts because I just happened to be reading the municipal code a few days ago, and I thought our description of transportation services just didn't do justice the impact of this work. We have seen through the last really decade of projects measurable improvements in safety through reducing collisions and reducing speed in our community. On the flip side of that, the joy that everyone feels when you do get on a bike. One thing we've been seeing in Bike Month is that as folks join bike rides, everyone makes a video about it afterwards. Like, that's how fun it is. Nobody does that about driving, right? So safety, joy, but also, and I think especially important in this time, is the economic benefit, right? The opportunity that creating safe infrastructure for bicycling gives for people who have no other option, because maybe they can't afford a car or not allowed to drive a car, but also in this time of rising gas prices, it's a really important opportunity for people to be able to take on. So safety, joy, economic opportunity, really, really special, meaningful work that I'm so proud of and thankful for our council for supporting. So, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, so now we're up to public comments. So with public comments, it's just like we always do. It's 3 minutes. You're going to hear a sound and see a light at 2. please wrap it up. You could speak about anything unless it's on the agenda. If it's on the agenda, you have to wait until it's on the agenda, then you get your 3 minutes at that time. And if you are going to speak, hold on one second. If you're going to speak a Spanish to English translation, you get 5 minutes. And after we're done in the chambers, we'll go to Zoom. So you have the floor.
Good evening, all. I want to address individuals specifically, but so many of you were involved in the improvements in Costa Mesa, and being that it's May and that it's Bike Month, I could not pass up the opportunity to give a shout out to all of you. The improvements that you've made in the bicycle infrastructure over the past 10 years are astounding, and they've made a huge difference in my feeling of safety, and I'm sure thousands of others. I ride a bicycle by choice, but I know there are many that ride by necessity. And I just want to say thank you, and that's it.
All right, thank you. Yes, Flo.
I second that motion. Orange County Supervisor Katrina Foley established the Bikeway and Walkability Committee, now the Active Transportation Committee, 11 years ago. One of the charter members was Councilperson Andrea Marr. Nowadays, Councilpersons Marr and Reynolds are council liaison to the Active Transportation Committee. Marr and Reynolds have put their time and their effort to support safe biking and walking for a very long time. I remember Arliss's successful bike rides all around town, organized and led by her. Rides to the park in Costa Mesa land, rides to the donut shops all around town, rides to the Estancia Adobe and the talk with the docents there. I know that Arliss rides her bike everywhere. Andrea rides her scooter. They are an inspiration to local bike and walk advocates. Costa Mesa for Alliance for Better Streets, otherwise known as CMABS, is a big force for biking and walking. Another big bike group, Leural Dog, cycles every Wednesday starting at Lions Park. Some College Park Elementary School parents now guide an every Tuesday morning bike bus. The city recently sponsored the Cruise to Loop. I walked that Cruise to Loop. I walked from my house to there and back. And a little shout out for me, I placed second in the Orange County 5K run this last Saturday. Our Public Works department is doing wonders for safe streets all over town. Local streets, Fairview, Adams, Bristol, Placentia, Santa Ana are now all safe for cyclists. Finally, David Martinez is a big bike force. He's a planning commissioner. He rides bikes or rides the bus all over town. Brett Atencio Thomas, Active Transportation Coordinator for the city, bikes or rides the bus. Bravo, yay. High five, Costa Mesa City Council and Costa Mesa Land.
Thank you, Flo. Yes.
Before I start, I have a document for the overhead display that I sent to the city clerk.
Okay, hold on.
Allison
Don't go yet. So we'll make sure we get it up on the.
Yes, thank you.
So just hold off. When it's ready, I'll let you know.
Thank you.
Is this it? It's the highlighted
Yep.
document? Yeah, it's up.
Okay, perfect. Good evening, Council. During my comment at the last meeting, I raised the concern that despite internal security controls, once the city's ALPR data is transferred to Flock's private corporate servers, the city and the public have no right or ability to know or control what happens to our data. And over 50 U.S. cities have canceled or suspended use of Flock upon discovering unauthorized disclosure of the city's data by Flock and Flock's own admission that they lied and shared data with Border Patrol without informing cities. I wondered why I didn't see anything about these cities subsequently suing Flock for a breach of contract. So I took a look at Costa Mesa's contract with Flock that was signed in June 2022 and found some very disturbing language in the confidentiality provision. Before we look at that, I want to remind the Council of California Senate Bill 34, which governs the use of ALPR data by law enforcement and restricts data sharing to California public agencies only. It prohibits sharing of federal or out-of-state entities. Apparently, Flock portrayed to the city that the sharing of our data is limited to California agencies, but the contract language permits otherwise. I'm going to read just the relevant portion to save time. For clarity, Flock may access, use, preserve, and/or disclose the footage to law enforcement authorities, government officials, and/or third parties if legally required to do so, or if Flock has good faith belief that such access, use, preservation, or disclosure is reasonably necessary to A, comply with the legal process or requests, etc. Please read the rest on your own, and you'll see that this language is so broad and vague that there are essentially no restrictions on what Flock can do with the city's data. For example, law enforcement and government officials are undefined. There's no list of approved agencies, no limit to California agencies, and no prohibitions on sharing with federal agencies. Alarmingly, it includes third parties completely undefined, which could be anyone. There's no notification requirement on the part of Flock to the city of any of these forms of access or disclosure. There's no language allowing any process for the city to even audit what Flock is doing with this data, so there's no transparency. So even if our city is compliant with SB 34, the language in the contract permits Flock to use and share our data in ways that would not comply with SB 34. So by way of this contract, the law is being circumvented and undermined. And if this is the same language that Flock uses with other cities, it explains why they're not getting sued, because they're not breaching a contract that doesn't contain sufficient guardrails to protect our data. Flock is clearly deceptive and untrustworthy. Please terminate the contract and remove their cameras. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Good evening, council members, Mayor Stevens, and council members. I'm Bill Turpett. I live on Swan Drive in Costa Mesa. I want to address 3 fire hazardous conditions in areas of Lower Fairview Park on the park's north and west. Above and continuing are just 4 photos I brought. Tony's going to go through slowly that illustrate these conditions, and I'll offer 3 recommendations in reference to those conditions. The first condition: areas of Lower Fairview Park are densely overgrown, particularly surrounding the 5 ponds extending west to Banning Channel. This dense overgrowth consists of brush and shrubs from 6 to 10 feet tall in height, and trees that vary from 15 to 40 feet or more. This overgrowth is so dense as to be impassable, except for the dozens of trails that have been cut by people seeking shelter and campsites in the dense overgrowth, and by those people going fishing. The second condition is that a significant portion of this same Lower Fairview Park area was recently designated, as you know, as a high fire severity zone by the California State Fire Marshal. The third condition: in April 2025, a little more than a year ago, a small but potentially dangerous fire appeared to be ignited at a campsite in the overgrowth and started about 10 p.m. on a Friday night. The surprising thing about the fire is that it revealed that there are apparently no fire hydrants within Lower Fairview Park or along the adjacent Placentia Avenue, as our fire department had to fight the fire with water trucked to Placentia Avenue and then pumped hundreds of feet into the park through a hose. It seems irregular that a high fire severity zone in our city would not be served by fire hydrants. Add to that fact that there are currently about 400 single-family and condominium homes in the neighborhood immediately to the north of the park, and probably twice that number in the area immediately to the south. I suggest that fire suppression of Fairview Park should be an issue of immediate concern to the council and our fire department, and I have these 3 suggestions. Design and implement a plan for the installation of fire hydrants in Fairview Park or along Placentia. Design and implement a plan to substantially thin and dense overgrowth in Lower Fairview Park. And finally, direct city departments such as planning, building, and fire, and invite Costa Mesa's home building stakeholders to research and develop a program for fire hardening of residences in the vicinity of the park to include levels of fire resistive materials, resources, and financial support to accomplish widespread adoption by residents. Home hardening measures are like vaccinations. The community is not protected unless.
Thanks. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Rachel. I am a longtime resident of Costa Mesa. First, I just want to express my appreciation for what the city is doing and has been doing to improve bike safety infrastructure and pedestrian safety infrastructure. I'm not much of a cyclist, but it is great to see these improvements happening. Also on the topic of public safety, I'm here to follow up on public comment made in the last meeting. Has the council received more information from the Costa Mesa Police Department about how the flock license plate cameras in our city are being used, searched, and accessed? And when can you share that information with us? Hoping to get some answers later on. Overall, I'm very concerned about the lack of transparency around these issues in Costa Mesa. Just last month, we had to learn from CBS News that a former Costa Mesa police officer was able to use Flock to stalk his ex-wife, his ex-girlfriend, and her new romantic partners. And that's just locally. As a community, we deserve to know what types of warrantless surveillance are being deployed against regular citizens. It looks like the city and police department are looking into proposing a new real-time crime center, but there is almost zero information available to the public about this that I could find. And based on what I know about real-time crime centers, this would be a force multiplier for how our data, ordinary non-criminal civilians' data, is used and collected. Overall, I think we have a pretty good police department, bad actors notwithstanding, but they do not need to be collecting and sharing this level of information about everyone in our community, especially sharing it with outside agencies. The bottom line is you can't leak data that isn't there. If you don't collect surveillance data, it can't be leaked. Bad actors can't access it. It can't be breached, simply because it is not there. No one's collecting it. So I encourage you to join the many other cities that are canceling their contracts with Flock and other surveillance vendors, because we deserve to be free from warrantless searches and surveillance in our city. Thank you.
Slides? Okay. We're going to put a slide up. Here we go. Here we go. Kudos to our transportation division. You have the floor.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, City Council members. I just want to echo my support and my thanks for the Transportation Department for all of the amazing infrastructure that they've installed throughout the city. And it definitely makes our community better through roads. But enough about bikes. It's always about bikes, bike lanes, separating bikes from cars. I think the Active Transportation Committee in their annual report mentioned that there are societal benefits beyond bikes. And I just thought maybe some literature might help support that stance. So a couple of things tonight. I won't bore you with all of them, but the impact of bike facilities was evaluated at a community-wide level and found that it raised property prices. Here, the highlights are literally the highlights of the abstract. Extensive bike networks measured by density was a positive and statistically significant contributor to the prices of all property types. Boom. It's not just about bikes, and our transportation department knows that. Do bike lanes slow car traffic? A comprehensive study in Australia in 2022 found that the delay incurred by drivers through the residential areas was about 10 seconds per kilometer. And how many kilometers do you travel between your house and the freeway? Maybe 2, 22nd. Conversely, it's a greater burden on bicycles to be forced to use these protected bike lanes. Is a fair trade. Lastly, I want to mention something that's not in your purview, but we all know that Newport Boulevard is the most dangerous road in Costa Mesa, and I wanted to throw a couple of hard-hitting facts for you. If a pedestrian is hit by a car going 40 miles an hour, they have a 50-50 chance of making it. You drive at 45 miles an hour, and that goes up to 60% risk of mortality. And at 50 miles an hour, it's a 75% chance of death. These are the speeds we have through Costa Mesa on that arterial. It doesn't make sense to me that we need to drive 50 miles an hour past Industrial Way where pedestrians are transversing that. I think we need to continue to push Caltrans to make sure there's a 40 mile an hour max speed limit through this entire zone. And if you ever come southbound on 55 into Costa Mesa and you try to find the speed limit, good luck. I've done it twice. I even drove my wife there. You can't see their 40 mile an hour signs, but they're distracted by the big flashing light saying signal ahead. You don't see a 40 mile an hour sign at all until past 17th Avenue, where you see a 50 mile an hour speed limit sign. So maybe we can get a little bit more signage and maybe paint on.
Good evening, Council. Mayor Stevens, my name is Ann. I've been a Costa Mesa resident for over 15 years. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight, and congratulations on the bike proclamation. That's really cool. I'm here tonight because I'm concerned that public funds, our tax dollars, are being spent on privately owned surveillance technology that the city contracts to use but does not control. The contract the city has with Flock contains serious risk to individual privacy, like we saw in that section earlier, 4.1 of the contract. Systems like those developed by Flock Safety inherently carry a risk of misuse. Just like we saw here with the Costa Mesa police officer, there are documented cases across the country of law enforcement databases being accessed or used improperly, and no amount of policy training or oversight can eliminate that risk. There's a common assumption that these systems automatically reduce crime, but the evidence is mixed, and much of it comes from vendor-funded case studies. In at least one widely cited example in San Marino, California, independent reporting by Forbes found that the city reductions being claimed did not align with the publicly available data. Here in Costa Mesa, I'd like more information. Does data show a clear or dramatic shift in crime reduction following implementation of Flock? If so, how is that data collected and who is involved in the study? It's been about 4 years, and I know many of us would really appreciate seeing updated data transparently and easily accessible on this information on the website. If this system is worth such a significant investment of funds and the real risks associated with potential misuse of the data, the public should be able to clearly see and evaluate its impact. However, even when crime trends do change, it's difficult to attribute that change to any one tool. We know crime is impacted by many different factors: police staffing, community-based programs, broader economic conditions, and not just surveillance technology. This raises a fundamental question that for me is very concerning. If the system is so effective, what's the long-term plan? Are we investing in this in addition to officers or instead of them? Because I know many of us would much rather see our tax dollars invested in trained professionals who build relationships, exercise judgment, and respond directly to community needs, as opposed to privately owned and managed surveillance technology that we have no control over. This ultimately comes down to accountability. If we can't clearly demonstrate that the system is making a meaningful, measurable difference using transparent and independently verifiable data, then we should not continue funding it. Even if there is data to support using Flock-like technology, is the trade-off worth it to our community? Right now, the data is unclear, the risks are real, and the costs to our community are significant. I urge you to consider better ways to use our taxpayer dollars to invest in our community and our police force. And
Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you, council members. Mr. Mayor, this is my first time commenting at a city council meeting, and I'm here to thank all of you for your commitment to bicycles and active transportation in general. I grew up in a family that only had one car. My mom was a secretary, my dad was a night shift custodian, and for over 20 years, he rode his bicycle to and from work. So he was riding home at 10 p.m. at night. And when I was younger, I didn't realize that it was by the grace of God that he made it home every night. And seeing what this city has done to improve the bicycle infrastructure since I moved here in 2019, it makes me feel so proud to live here, because the work that this city is doing, that this council supports, can be the difference between whether somebody's parent makes it home every night. Cycling goes far beyond just recreation and spandex and fun. It is, for many families, the only way they can get to and from their jobs. And I'm so excited to see what pathways we can continue to build out. I'm excited to see the east and west side get complete connections that are protected. And once again, I really want to thank the council for their commitment. We are leaps and bounds ahead in Orange County for what we're building out here, and we are truly an example to the rest of the county and to Southern California and beyond. So thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, I'm Ashley Anderson, trustee for Newport Mesa for West Side Costa Mesa, Area 7. I just wanted to come tonight to thank you and celebrate the Bike Proclamation Month with you. I am really excited about Bike and Walk to School Day that happens tomorrow and then on May 13th. And I just thank you for taking the leadership in our county for really connecting with our schools and trying to involve families in those efforts. I remember 2 or 3 years ago, I was involved in a bike audit at Placentia and 19th, and if you had asked me, I would have said a few parents were riding their bikes home from work or to work, and there were hundreds. And so I think some of the work that you guys have led, thank you to Brett Atanasio and Paul Martin and Raja and several people on your staff who have really been instrumental. I just want to thank you for all of the work that you have done. I want to thank Councilmember Arliss Reynolds, who's really spearheaded a lot of this. I continue to look forward to the opportunities. I love seeing our students out on bikes as an opportunity to get to school, as access points, as we heard from the speaker just recently, just before me, who her family was not available to take her to school or pick her up from school. And that's the reality for a lot of families in Westside Costa Mesa, particularly our middle school students who need to go to Tewinkle and Ensign, which are over 3 miles away from their homes. So I just thank you so much for the protected spaces, the green bike lanes, making everything safer. So thank you so much.
Thank you, trustee. Yes, sir.
Yeah, hello, my name is Craig. I've been a resident of Costa Mesa for over 30 years. Among other things, I'm an ardent cyclist. I ride about 150 miles, sometimes 200 miles a week, up and down the trails all around. I'm in a bicycle club. You've probably seen our jerseys. We had an accident this week. It kind of brought me out. One of our people passed off the PCH. It was an accident there, his fault. Anyway, I'm here because I want to bring awareness to some of the unsafe situations that exist on the local part of the river trail. And I'm sorry to rain on the National Bike Month, but this all happened, and I felt compelled to come out today. So I want to just tell you, in the past 6 weeks, these are just some of the incidents I've witnessed on the bike trail. On the stretch that Costa Mesa owns here, about a 5-mile stretch, 2 teenagers on electric bikes purposely tried to kick me off my bike as they passed me. That's not the first time that's happened. Last week, a swarm of young people on electric bikes, at least 30 of them, entered the bike trail off the Indianapolis opening onto the Wood Bridge area. Some of you might know where I mean. And they headed north on the trail. I also headed north on the trail. And just up the way, the swarm came back, heading south, and forced myself and another cyclist off the road and dominated the entire road. I mean, there was like 30 or 40, I kid you not. And they were yelling and doing wheelies and almost hit the guy I was riding with. Then yesterday, there was a swarm of cyclists, older cyclists, kind of an interesting group. They have a right to use the bike trail, but there was about 50 of them. And when I made it up to the Hamilton Bridge, they were all on the bike path, swarmed onto the bike path, and then they head up the trail, and I didn't go that way. So I just want to go on the record, state my concern about these dangerous conditions, and I think that I know resources are short. I think that if you were to have some kind of a volunteer program where you had some captains that could sit out on some of these openings to the trail where the biggest amount of traffic comes, like when the kids come out of school and they swarm on something. Somebody's going to get killed and injured. I see it all the time. Sorry to bring this up during National Bike Month. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Hi, I have a slide I sent to the city clerk last night. Name is Michael Moses Nolf. All right. Well, hello, Mr. Mayor and City Council, or in the words of my local hero activists, Chad Kroger and JT Parr, what up, Council? So I'm here for two things today. The first one is I started a club, as you can see, the Costa Mesa Ukulele Club. And I wanted to invite you all and everyone in this room to it. I want to clarify, it's not a performance. This is about participation. You must play and sing along loudly. Just pretty much imagine like bad karaoke, but with ukuleles accompanying it. We prioritize participation over perfection. And this club is started as an act of joy and play as resistance, you know, with all the crazy stuff going on around us. So like, let's get together with our neighbors and have a great time. All are welcome. It doesn't matter where you were born, who you love, or who you voted for. Everyone is welcome at this club. Here's the bad part. I'm leading it, and I'm a terrible singer. Like, I don't know how to, I don't think I can overemphasize how bad I am. So my goal is to get more people there. We have about 20, but I would love more people to come and someone else to eventually take over. Trust me, once you come to the first one, you'll want to have someone else leading this thing. And if I remember either reading or hearing correctly, Mr. Mayor, you're a big fan of karaoke, so especially want to invite you out there. We're going to meet at Deli Nerds in Costa Mesa the first Mondays of the month from 5 to 7 p.m. Dinner and drinks we can have from 5 to 6, and then from 6 to 7 we'll have a sing-along and strum-along. You can sign up on the website. If you scan that QR code, I'll leave some flyers in the back, CostaMesaUkulele.club. And once you sign up, you can help choose the songs that we sing. We're not doing like the old-timey stuff. There's a million groups that do that. So we'll do everything from whether it's Bob Marley or NoFX or, you know, Taylor Swift. Anything like that is great. And there's a rule, no guitars. Guitars generally have 6 strings, and that's too many, and it gets confusing. So we're just going to stick to 4 strings on the ukulele. You don't need a lot of experience to come play. If you learn the C chord, you can play like almost every song. Just play it when it comes around. But singing loudly is the most important. All right, second, I just wanted to add to the Love Fest of Bike Month and especially give a shout out to our council and to our city staff, the transportation staff, who I've gotten to work with for almost a decade with on the Active Transportation Committee. So shout out to Liz, Brett Atencio, Ramin, Paul, Raja, and all the others that I don't get to interact with on a daily basis. Great job. Keep going. We're not there yet, but we're doing great work. And thank you for all of your service to our community. All right, have a good night. Join the club.
It's on my calendar. It's on my calendar.
All righty. I have a slide there for Roy Rodas. Good evening, City Council. My name is Roy Rodas. I am the intentional neighboring director for Love Costa Mesa, and I'm here today. Yeah, we got some of our Love Costa Mesa people here. First of all, I want to say thank you for the work that you do and the time that you give to the city. It definitely does not go unnoticed. And I'm also a husband, I'm a father, and a Costa Mesa resident now for a few years. I live in District 3, and I love the city of Costa Mesa. So for me, Love Costa Mesa Day is really important. And I'm here not just representing an organization that is on the outside looking in. This city is my home. These are my neighbors. And in 11 days, on May 16th, we're going to be having about 1,300 volunteers spread out all over the city, across the city at parks, schools, senior centers, mobile home parks, and families going through difficult times with hopefully close to 80 projects throughout the city that we will be serving our neighbors. And the day is going to start here at City Hall. So here at the center of the city, we're going to start our morning check-in, and this is going to be the 9th year that we actually do Love Costa Mesa Day. And we call it that. It's not just a production. This is about loving our neighbors and serving our neighbors and showing up. I think that being present is one of the most important things that you can do. And so that's why I believe in showing up to these kinds of things, to be able to share with our community about what's going on. And so I wanted to come tonight to make sure that everyone here knew about this day and invite you all to be a part of Love Costa Mesa Day. I would love for all of you to be there. Like I said, it starts on Saturday at 8 a.m. Lunch is going to be available afterwards, and there's going to be a lot of great things on the agenda for the day. So we hope to see every member of the community out there at Love Costa Mesa Day on Saturday, May 16th. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Ralph.
I've got a couple photos. So Flo Martin spoke earlier and mentioned
wait for the photos?
that she came in second at the marathon. So I took a photo, or she took a photo, somebody took a photo. That is Flo receiving her award. And not to burst her bubble, but she said she came in second in her age group. So I think there's another photo. That's Flo. This is on Merrimack, heading towards the fairgrounds. And this was the 5K. So this was on Saturday, late afternoon. There's about 6,000 participants in the 5K. Flo being one of them. And there's a little short video. This is also on Merrimack. Maybe.
Oh, we got to see the video. Please, no technical difficulty.
Okay, there's Flo.
There you go.
In the red.
All right, Flo Mama.
Look at that.
Bashful she is not. So congratulations to Flo. And I want to say thank you to the council, thank you to the staff again I'm a former member of the Active Transportation Committee, still bike around a lot in the city. And thank you to council and staff for all your good work. And I think it comes down to, as Councilwoman Reynolds mentioned, public safety. It's a form of public safety. Council members speak continuously on supporting public safety. When staff presents the budget, they say X% is devoted to public safety. Basically, they're adding the cost of the fire department and the police department. But public safety extends beyond just police and fire. So thank you again.
Thanks.
Good evening, city and council members. Good job on the marathon, but I would like to express my concerns regarding the use of flock surveillance cameras in Costa Mesa. While I totally understand the importance of improving public safety, I believe residents should be informed before they are being recorded or monitored by this technology. Most citizens do not even know that they are being filmed by cameras throughout the city. To many people, the widespread use of license plate readers and surveillance cameras feels like an invasion of privacy. There should be more transparency about where these cameras are located and how data is used and who accesses it and how long information is stored. Public safety is important, but residents also deserve that their privacy and rights are being respected. Thank you.
Who do we have on Zoom?
None, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, really? All right, close public comment. All right, wonderful job on the public comment. Okay, now we're going to go through our council members for committee reports, comments, and suggestions, starting with Arliss Reynolds from District 5.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Quickly on Flock, I am eager to get the additional information that council requested last meeting about Flock, the access issues, alternative options, what controls were missing or not followed in terms of the extremely inappropriate and dangerous access that we heard about in the news. I'm also curious, maybe at the same time when that comes back, I'm not sure if we have a at all or an up-to-date just data security policy for any public data. We intake resident data through a few other portals, and I'm not clear what our policy is, and that may be worth a look. On the Fairview Park questions about brush, I know our fire chief was out there just a few weeks ago looking at the conditions there and made some recommendations on mowing. If we don't have it up yet, I do think it'd be helpful because we do receive a lot of questions on a regular basis about what the city does in terms of monitoring and treatment, especially in the now established fire hazard severity zones. It'd be helpful to just have that information and maybe some status updates on our website, either the new fire hazard severity zone website or Fairview Park website, and maybe link to each other. So we'll follow up on that. And City Manager, if there is a report on mowing following the inspection, that'd be helpful to hear. Bike Month, I've said a few words already. Again, I just want to share my thanks to everyone involved in the work, but again, especially our team here at City Hall. I did challenge myself to post a video every day about Bike Month. And as part of that, I have invited or plan to invite people in this room to participate with me. The mayor has agreed to do a bike ride video with me. I invite all council members, or chiefs, keep an eye on your inbox. I'm going to be inviting you for another bike ride. We've done one already. Anyone in the room, if you want to talk bikes, we'll do a bike ride and talk about really anything in the city. So please do reach out. I'm desperate for content ideas to meet this challenge. Safety is a serious issue, right? There's a lot of joy with biking, but safety really has been the catalyst for a lot of this work. Since our last meeting, I was up in Sacramento with our transportation manager, Paul Martin. We were up there specifically to talk about our work to improve and efforts to improve safety on Newport Boulevard, which is the most dangerous area in our city for people walking or biking. And it's an area where we don't have a lot of control on safety measures. We're working very hard with the folks at Caltrans to implement safety measures in an ongoing project. We've had some productive conversations on that day and since then. So we'll keep council updated on that. That is an area where the data show that people are dying every year, and that's something that we're very, very serious about fixing. So thank you.
Thank you, council member. Now we're going to hear from District 6, council member Jeff Pettis.
Thank you, Mayor. So the first week in May, if you work in healthcare, if you're anywhere near healthcare, you know that it's Nurses Week, and that is a huge deal if you work in a hospital or anywhere where there's nursing. And 20 years ago, I had a successful career in business, but some things happened, and I decided I needed to change my life and change my life in all ways. And one of those was to change my careers. And I thought long and hard about it and decided to become an RN. And that led to graduate school, and that led to me currently as an administrator. But the reason for changing careers is I wanted to be fulfilled in my life and I wanted to be of service, and I thought long and hard about how I could best do that. And nursing was what I chose, and I had no idea what the adventure would lead to, but it's extended. It is turned out to be the most worthwhile career I could have ever imagined. Nursing is, whether you're in the NICU and you're worried about your baby, whether or not they're going to come off the ventilator, there's an RN. Whether you're in labor and delivery, you're terrified as a first-year or first-time mother, there's an RN there. Medical, surgical floors, hospice care at the end of life, and mental health care is my passion, where I get to interface with veterans who suffer from PTSD and born the battle. It's just worth noting that an RN is a special person, and I'd just like to say congratulations and thank you to all the RNs out there. Thank you.
Next, we're going to hear from Councilmember Mike Bewley from District 1.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, members of the public. And I will be very short tonight. I'm heading off to SCAG General Assembly this week. I got the short straw, the long straw, or whatever. But the continuing education, I will get out there and mingle with other electeds from our other cities, city employees, and learn about the various issues that all of the cities are dealing with, and maybe get some creative solutions that I can bring back, and I'll reclaim my time 2 weeks from now and give you guys a full report.
Thank you. Have fun.
Yeah.
So next is from District 2, Councilmember Lauren Gameros.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do want to touch on the bikeability stuff that we were talking about in public safety. Whenever I ride my bike, I feel invincible, but when my kids ride their bike, it's kind of a soft spot for me. And for those of you who have children, the moment they leave your house and they're on their bike or their scooter, I know for me, it's a real point of contention. When my son was younger, in his very early teens, he had sporting events that he had to go to. He traveled to CDM High School, Corona del Mar High School, and I remember watching every single step that he went. And before I let him ride his bike there, we traveled the safest route because he was going to be going there every day on his bike. My daughter has some friends that live down Harbor Boulevard, and she wants to ride her scooter down Harbor Boulevard, and every time she leaves the house, I'm like the helicopter dad, I'm tracking her. So I know firsthand how important street safety is, bike safety, not just biking, walking, walkability. It's really important, especially for our younger generation. And public safety is also very important. It helps to improve the safety for all of us. So I want to thank everybody involved in creating the bike pass, the walkability, the committees, CMABs, our police and fire department, our public works department, everybody working together as a team. It really helps out for our community, and it makes it a wonderful place to live. So thanks everybody for that. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Councilmember. Next from District 3, Councilmember Andrea Marr.
Thank you. I'll be pretty quick too. Yeah, following Councilmember Reynolds, I would like an update on flock based on the last meeting. I'm not sure I've heard anything, but I hope we're looking into alternatives. I did some of my own research, and it does seem like there now are flock alternatives. Staff had a great climate action and adaptation plan open house last week. It was pretty well attended. Pretty interesting maps in terms of where some of the fire zones are now. And also the state has updated its mapping in terms of where pollution impacted zones are. All of this is a good thing because it helps us also position ourselves for grants and for additional opportunities to improve some of our neighborhoods, including mine. In my district. There was one other thing I was going to say, and I didn't write it down. Congratulations to all the bike folks. I also really want to thank the committee. It is not always the most exciting thing to be on a city committee, right? It's like, okay, gonna go after work, do some more work. Sometimes you're reviewing plans, sometimes you're kind of talking about, one event that we might have, but it's like the sum of all of that effort really adds up. And when you look back on it after your 4 years or your 8 years, or in the case of Councilman Reynolds and I are, 12 plus years being involved in some capacity, you really have made an impact, and that's really exciting to see. And then last but not least, congratulations to Flo. That was impressive. All right, thank you.
Okay, then we've got our Mayor Pro Tem from District 4, Manuel Chavez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. No report.
Oh, wow. All right. I usually use that time to get ready. No, but thank you. I'm sure you all know we had the marathon on Sunday, and it was the last time I got to go to Fashion Island and wish everybody that was running a good race, and that's always fun to do. I've done that 10 years now because Katrina didn't want to get up early in the morning, so she had me do it. And I'm going to miss it. And this year I think it was the biggest we've ever had. There was 20,000 runners. So I want to just acknowledge the sacrifice made by our PD. It was an all hands on deck for the PD to be out there and supporting the marathon. And also our fire department had a lot of crews out there, particularly at the finish line. They had 2 crews because there's always issues at the finish line of a race like that. And so thank you to them. But also, not to be lost is the thank you to the residents, because as much of a success as it is, and the business owners too, it is a pain for traffic. So on marathon day, maybe just kind of hunker down, say the rosary or something like that, because it's going to be hard to get around. And thank you for enduring that. And it's really a very worthwhile event. This year, the parking lot was packed across the street. I've never seen it like that. So that's the marathon. In terms of bike safety, yeah, I agree. I'm very proud of the things that we have done and initiated over a period of time, and very grateful for the work of the committee and the council, and particularly Councilmember Reynolds, and also our Public Works Department, which is just terrific. And I agree with Ralph. It is a very important part of public safety. The gentleman who spoke about the mobs of people that are coming up to him on bikes or e-bikes or whatever, it goes, that was not out of place at all, because as far as I'm concerned, because it's all about safety. And just because you're on a bike doesn't mean you're not doing something dangerous. So people that are on bikes also have to be accountable for their own safety, and so we have to watch that too. But we have to protect them and also make sure that everybody bikes safely. So I thought that was fine. It's complementary to what we're talking about. Fairview Park, fire hazards, yeah, we should definitely look into that. Thank you to Mr. Turpin for bringing that to our attention, and also for the very specific suggestions that he made. I agree with all three of those suggestions. I'm going to be at Love Costa Mesa Day. I encourage you all to be at Love Costa Mesa Day. So I love the ukulele thing. That's just terrific for me. The ukulele club, I'm all in. However, I want to tell you that before June 1st, there's going to be another event in a similar vein. It's called Sing Along with the Mayor. I'm not kidding. I'm not joking. It's going to be at Dick Church's. It's a benefit for Trellis. We're going to start singing probably sometime after 6. And 10% of the gross goes to Trellis. And then also, you can do different things to raise money for Trellis. So, for example, and it's not just me singing. I promise you, it is not a concert by the mayor. Everybody's going to have an opportunity to sing. You're going to be able to see the words. It's going to be a lot of fun. And you'll be able to do something like this. Like, let's say I am singing and you want me to stop singing. You just give $20 to Trellis, right? So that's an example of the way that we're going to raise money. So there's going to be a lot of fun, creative ways to raise money for the nonprofit. And as the gentleman with the ukulele club pointed out, truly a community that sings together stays together. So I'll see you on the 21st at Dick Church's. That's all I have. City Manager Gallardo Daly, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Good evening, everyone. So our Costa Mesa City team continues to expand connections to the school districts career technical education program, and this time it was our Economic and Development Services Department. They worked with instructor Ed Jasperson and his students at Estancia's Design Build class to apply a student-level permit review process to their class project, which was an attractive and functional shed being built for the California High School Open Division competition. So the students met with our planning and building staff to understand the permit application and building plan review process. And the plan that the students had prepared for their project went through a plan review and a plan check by our city team. So this exercise offered the students real-world feedback from our planners and inspectors while providing insight into the submission and permitting process. So with the city-approved plans and through their hard work, Estancia's team earned the Best in Show award for the second consecutive year. Mr. Jasperson said of the work, this accomplishment would not have been possible without the city's guidance and support. We truly appreciate the time and effort your team dedicated to helping our students succeed and gain real-world experience. Thank you again for everything you've done for our program. So thank you to our Economic and Development Services Department for their support to our local students. In accordance with the California Environmental Quality Act, a mitigated negative declaration has been prepared for the Fairview Park Master Plan update. This CEQA document evaluates potential environmental impacts associated with the updated draft Fairview Park Master Plan. So the mitigated negative declaration is available for a 30-day public comment period. The environmental document and the associated technical studies are available on the city's website and can be accessed at costamesaca.gov/FVPMP. And we've heard this tonight, but I just want to emphasize that Love Costa Mesa Day is around the corner on May 16th. Join us. The festivities will kick off here at City Hall in the morning from 8 to 9, and then our volunteers will spread across the city to work on their projects from 9 a.m. to noon. Then the volunteers will return to City Hall from 12 to 2 for a lunch celebration. So there's still time to join a project. Visit lovecostamesa.org to learn more and volunteer. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is our city attorney, Ms. Hall Barlow. Do you have a report?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am pleased to report that the federal court has dismissed with prejudice the claims of Mr. Vermencini, who was involved in a criminal incident, an arrest, and brought claims against our city and its police department, and was sentenced to prison and subsequently escaped from custody. So we've succeeded in that case, and that's a very good outcome for the city. Let us hope that Mr. Mancini is apprehended. Thank you.
All right, kind of a mixed bag report there. All right, let's go to the consent calendar. So the consent calendar is all routine, will be considered in one motion unless an item is pulled by either a member of the public or the council or a member of the staff. Madam Clerk, do we have anything that's been pulled?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, nothing's been pulled. Councilmember Gameros needs to abstain from consent calendar item number 3 because his wife previously worked at Priceless Pets. So we have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Chavez, seconded by me. And so let's call for the question on the consent calendar.
Councilmember Reynolds, please. Motion carries 7-0.
All right, wonderful. So now we're moving on to public hearings right on time. Public hearing number 1, Madam Clerk, would you please read the title?
Thank you. This is call for review of the approval of special use permit to allow a sober living with 6 or fewer residents be located at 1601 Baker Street. Presentation by Mr. Mendez, Senior Planner.
Mr. Mendez, you have the floor.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners, or Council members, I'm sorry. The item before you tonight is a call for review of the approval of a special use permit to allow a sober living home with 6 or fewer residents and 1 live-in house manager. The applicant is George Villigut on behalf of Step House Recovery. I'd like to briefly explain how the group home regulations apply under the municipal code. State licensed group homes that serve up to 6 residents are exempt from local regulations, so they do not require city approval. In contrast, unlicensed group homes with up to 6 residents located in residential zones must obtain a special use permit in accordance with COSTA MESA Municipal Code Title 13, Chapter 15. It's a ministerial process. Staff's role is limited to verifying whether the application conforms to the ordinance, not making discretionary judgments. The special use permit is issued by the Director of Economic and Development Services as a ministerial permit. This means the director's review is solely focused on verifying that the facility meets the adopted location and operational standards. Because it's ministerial, the review is limited to objective standards identified in the zoning ordinance. By way of background, on October 23rd, 2025, the city's hearing officer considered the special use permit to allow a sober living home with 6 or fewer residents and 1 house manager. The purpose of the hearing was to receive information and testimony regarding the applicant's compliance with the objective standards set forth in subsections A and B of COSTA MESA Municipal Code Sections 13-311. Although the Director of Economic and Development Service is the approval body for the special use permit, it was delegated to the city's hearing officer, as the city has a professional services agreement with a law firm to provide hearing officer services to the city of Costa Mesa for projects like this. As part of the hearing officer decision and consideration, a total of 14 public comments were received. The primary concerns that were raised were impact to quality of life, proximity to a residential care facility, advertising practices, overcrowding, and parking congestion. On January 5th, 2026, the city's hearing officer approved the special use permit and concluded that the application is in compliance with code and no grounds for denial were determined. The applicant filed the special use permit for the proposed sober living home. This will accommodate 6 recovery residents and 1 live-in house manager located on Baker Street between Andros Street and Royal Palm Drive. It's a 1-story, 2,500 square foot single-family residence. The site is zoned R1, single-family residential. It's surrounded by single-family homes on 3 sides, as well as to the north across Baker Street. This zoomed-in image is the floor plan of the residence. There will be a maximum of 7 beds, 6 for the residents and 1 for the house manager. Most of the bedrooms are located on the east side of the house, with a living room on the south side, the kitchen and the dining room in the center, and a rec room at the rear of the home. The project meets all the applicable zoning standards, including occupancy limits and the prohibition on group homes in accessory units. Parking requirements are satisfied with 5 on-site spaces. There are no other similar recovery facilities within 650 feet, maintaining the required separation. Additionally, all conditions of approval have been incorporated to this SUP in regards to public safety requirements and adherence to the ordinance standards. As part of the city's operational standards for group homes, operators are required to follow a good neighbor policy, which helps ensure that residents and staff are respectful of the surrounding community. Group homes must also prohibit any use of drugs or alcohol on site. and maintain clear parking and visitation policies to limit any potential neighborhood impacts. On January 7, 2026, Mayor Stevens submitted a timely application for review of the approval. Mayor Stevens listed concerns regarding impacts to neighborhood of sober living home operations. On February 23rd, 2026, a public hearing was held by the Planning Commission. As a de novo hearing, the Planning Commission may consider new evidence. However, the Commission's review was limited to determining whether the applicant complies or has agreed to comply with all the objective standards set forth in subsections A and B of Section 13-311. Members of the public provided comments noting their concerns about potential operations of step house recovery, including neighborhood safety, compatibility with single-family residential area, and a possible increase in traffic, noise, and crime. The Planning Commission voted 7-0 to uphold. The Planning Commission unanimously approved the hearing officer's issuance of the special use permit. As part of the motion discussion, some commissioners noted that the Commission's review was limited in scope and the decision was ministerial, and indicated that they did not find any new evidence that would justify overturning the approval. Again, a ministerial decision is an administrative action in which the reviewing authority applies fixed standards or objective criteria without exercising personal judgment or discretion. In this case, the SUP is considered ministerial because the hearing officer is required to issue the permit if the applicant complies or agrees to comply with the objective operational requirements. On March 2nd, 2026, Councilmember Bewley submitted a timely application for review of the Planning Commission's decision pursuant to COSTA MESA Code Section 2-302. The council member's request was made to provide the community with an opportunity to voice concerns before the city council and to allow the council to review any opposition or request additional information regarding the SUP. As a de novo hearing, the city may consider new evidence. However, the council's review is limited to determining whether the application complies or has agreed to comply with the objective standards. 3 types of public notifications was completed no less than 10 days prior to the date of the public hearing. As of the day of the report, there were no public comments that were received. However, within the last few days, there were 2 comments in opposition and 2 comments in support of this project. The City Council may take the following actions. They could uphold the decision of the Planning Commission upholding the hearing officer's decision, or they could determine that the application does not meet the requirements of Section 13-311, overturning the Planning Commission's decision and thereby deny the permit. Staff recommends that the City Council adopt a resolution finding that the project is categorically exempt from CEQA and to uphold the Planning Commission's decision to uphold the hearing officer's issuance of the SUP. This concludes staff presentation. Staff and the applicant are available for any questions.
Thank you. Good presentation. Any questions by staff? Yes, Councilmember Bewley, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, members of the public. Thank you, staff, for all your work that you've put into this. And when I pulled this item, as stated, it was primarily for the concern that, you know, whenever one of these sober living homes come into a residential community, it rightly creates a great deal of interest, great deal of concern for the members of the community. And I know it's ministerial at the first phase, and then the public gets a chance to comment at the Planning Commission, and then we have an opportunity to speak publicly. And I think issues of this significance deserve plenty of public comment and give every opportunity for the community to comment on it. I have some other comments when there's a motion before us, but I'll start with just a couple questions. in the presentation, you said some of the primary concerns back on October 23 were proximity to residential care facilities. Now, I know there's a 650-foot restriction from a sober living home being in 650 feet of another sober living home, but are there other care facilities, licensed care facilities within the general vicinity of this?
There is a residential care facility neighboring this property on 1597 Baker Street. It's not considered a sober living facility. This is a residential facility for foster youth. So that 650-foot separation requirement wouldn't apply in that case.
Okay. Now, although it wouldn't apply for another sober living home, how do we reconcile potential concerns or potential conflicts that may be genuine concerns about people struggling to get back on their feet in a sober living home, being close to children trying to get their lives back together?
I think the way the code's written, there isn't really consideration for those factors per se. I think it's more of a policy question.
Okay. And I'm going to kind of pivot around here a little bit. You guys are here before us on a de novo review, and meaning it's like first time. We get to see it for the first time. And I see in the slide presentation that we're limited to determining whether the applicant complies or has agreed to comply with the objective standards set forth in subsection A and B. And again, that's back to as long as they've checked all the boxes in the subdivisions for compliance, that the way I read this, there's really nothing for council to address. Is that how you guys are interpreting it at this point?
Yeah, thank you, Councilmember Bewley. Yes, the standard of review, even though this is a de novo hearing, is the same standard of review that the original hearing officer's determination used, as well as the appeal to Planning Commission.
Yeah. And in a situation like this, where I might point out that there may be in conflict with certain aspects of our general plan or our land use element, if I were to believe that, what's the legal analysis in that situation? And maybe that's something for the city attorney. We've got an ordinance that says, prove your case to the ordinance, but if it runs afoul of our general plan, what do we do in that situation? Is that a great case of first impression?
As we read the code and the requirements, there's no inconsistency with the general plan for this facility. The city council considered all of these issues quite thoroughly in 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017. But certainly if there were to be a change, then we'd be in a different situation. But that is the code as it was adopted, and as I believe it's consistent with the general plan. If there's an inconsistency, I haven't heard about it.
Okay, let me try a couple. And I'm not certain if they land, but they did kind of occur to me. Land use element, page 13. One of our concepts, and for members of the public, when the city incorporates a master plan or a general plan, it's kind of your vision for your city. That's kind of what you'd like your city to, your vision for your city. So page 13, we desire to promote home ownership and maintain a balance between rentals and ownership. And it seems if we have an ordinance that allows residential homes to be taken off the market to be used for any kind of, non-owner occupied residential business, whether it's a sober living business or any business, we are, by that very nature, removing ownership opportunities from the market. If we get past a certain saturation point, it could be a significant issue. Could that be a potential conflict with our master plan?
With the general plan. In this case, because we also have requirements under our housing element to provide non-discriminatory availability for disabled persons and people who are sober are considered disabled under both state and federal law. And we are also required under our housing element to affirmatively further fair housing opportunities. Almost trip over that one every time I try to say it. In my view, we can no more say that this is a violation of the general plan than allowing a developer to build rental property versus ownership property is.
Okay, I'll query another one. And a nice segue, land use element 1.3. We strongly encourage residential uses and owner-occupied housing where feasible to encourage a balance between owner and rental. So I think that would be a situation where we could tell a developer that we have too many rentals at this point. And because under land use element 1.3, we look to have a balance between home ownership and rental units.
I see your point, Councilmember Bewley, but I think in this situation, if somebody's already an owner of a real property as opposed to developing a new one, they have the right to rent it out. I don't believe that the law would allow us to discriminate between this use and the neighboring use or the next door neighbor's use in renting out property that they own rather than living in it.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting we'd be discriminating amongst any particular use. It's I guess a discrimination between ownership and owner occupancy versus a rental unit, because we're running up against our desire to have a nice balance. But we can stick a pin in that one for now.
Okay. I mean, I think it's a question of when you are looking at overall development, and you certainly want to encourage ownership housing. But once something is built, we have a lot less control.
Right. And then land use element 3.1, a biggie, protect the existing stabilized neighborhoods. If we've got a rather established residential neighborhood and we want to keep it stabilized, I mean, at some point, whether it's if you have non-owner occupied businesses flooding the zone, for lack of a better term, you're changing the very nature of a neighborhood. And again, I'm not expecting you to give me a complete legal analysis tonight, but these are just concerns I would have that we're here looking at saying that this council is limited by the four corners of the ordinances, and as long as they've checked the boxes, we can't go look at these various land use elements that I think in certain situations, certain proposed uses could start running afoul. So I'll move on. And I don't know if the owner operator's here tonight or if I address these to staff, but I'll just ask a few questions. We'll see where we go. How many of these sober living 6 units or less does this current owner operator own and operate?
I can answer and then maybe the applicant elaborate.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. You can come up if there's a question that you as the applicant can answer. You can have the floor to answer those questions, and then also you'll have the opportunity to speak.
And actually, before you get started, I just want to convey to the applicant, this isn't a personal vendetta directed against yourself. I've been elected by the members of the public to kind of protect the nature of our city, and when issues of this magnitude come up, you know, that's why they pay me the big bucks to sit up here to ask some questions. And it's not my intent to put you on the hot seat.
You're not.
But you give me an opportunity to ask some questions. So yeah, if you could fire away. How many of these things do you own and operate, and where are they?
I own 4 other sober living homes, and there's one in Huntington Beach, 3 in Fountain Valley, and then this one potentially, hopefully.
And I see that you've got a contract with OC Healthcare Agency for north of $6 million in relation to the your operation of your homes.
Yes, sir.
I'm just curious. For that, does the OC Health, are you obligated to maintain a certain number of beds for them? Or I'm trying to wonder.
Could I clarify for a second?
Sure.
The contract is not $6 million to Step House. That's the overall contract.
Yeah, for covered across 4 houses.
Yeah. No, for a bunch of other providers.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So explain how this contract works with you then, I guess.
Okay, so the Board of Supervisors in 2002 realized there's a shortage of housing opportunities, as the city attorney pointed out, throughout Orange County. And so they voted a new resolution to try and exonerate some of that. One of the things that they did was they started a Orange County Sheriff's certification program that we've been a part of for over 10 years. And so that certification ensures that the people that are being monitored and regulated by them are good operators. And there's a lot of advantages that tie in with what's called a healthcare agency. So the healthcare agency gets a contract through the state, and now they've added CalOptima in addition to that recently. So essentially, we've got a lot of people that, you know, are sick, broken, and suffering out there, and the Board of Supervisors has gotten funding that they distribute through this contract to providers that have been awarded the certification and the participation level of the program. So in final, what we try and do is, you know, very fiduciary with how we operate, treat the neighborhoods with a lot of care and good neighbor policies, so that we don't really.
Excuse me for a second.
Yeah.
I just, because I'm just trying to maintain some order here, because I just want to make sure this is the type, and you have no reason to know this, this is the time where we ask specific questions and get specific answers.
Sure.
So I don't want you to elaborate beyond that, but then you'll get a chance.
Sure.
When we open up public
Okay, Mayor.
comment.
Thank
Okay?
you, Mayor, and I
So
will
go ahead.
direct the witness to stay on point a little bit. I guess where I was trying to get, of this 6.3 spread across your 4 locations, do you use that to fund or scholarship certain of the residents, or I'm just curious, how's the money work in that situation?
Yeah, we basically get a fee for service. So every client that is referred, in our case, the Step House, we basically get paid a daily fee for that client, and then at the end of the month, we provide an invoice for each client that has gone through and been connected to our program, and then they reimburse us the next month.
Okay. And then your clients, are they typically, your residents, your clients, are they typically there pursuant to insurance payments? Does the insurance cover most of their cost?
Yeah, this is not anything to do with private insurance. So essentially, it's CalOptima or Medi-Cal. Those are the 2 ways that the clients are awarded the opportunity to get the help they need. And it's really a long-term program, which is kind of nice. They start with detox, usually about a week, then 90 days of treatment before they even get to the transitional sober living component, which is what we offer.
And that was going to be my next, what's the typical length of stay at your sober living homes?
It has been 90 days. It's going to be 9 months now. So there will be more stability, we hope.
And I read briefly, but what's your relapse policy?
Our relapse policy is pretty direct. If we catch you under the influence or, creating any drug use, alcohol use, we have different vices or things that people come under. Some have, for example, gambling. It can be like a condition that they have, maybe mental health. Those are all reasons for discharge. If somebody deregulates mentally, we don't just, put them out on the street, or if they relapse for drugs, we find them another facility to get a higher level of care.
And it's my understanding your facilities are residential only. There's no treatment going on there, no other services?
Correct. 100%, yes.
That's all I got for you. Thank you.
Do you have any other questions for staff?
No.
Okay. Councilmember Gameros, do you have questions?
Yes, I do. So my first question is, do you consider a violent offender who comes into your facility to be rehabilitated a risk?
It depends on the level of violence that the person came under, but our clients are screened in advance in two different ways. The healthcare agency does an assessment and evaluation, and there are scenarios where violent offenders, sex offenders, arsonists are not allowed to participate in the Orange County program for rehabilitation.
Okay, hold on one second. This question is for staff. Can someone please tell me what our code says about violent offenders and treatment facilities? Do we have anything that has a statement on that?
We do. So the owner, operator, or staff that's looking to be hired, they can't be registered within as a sex offender. They can't be an arsonist. They can't have, violent felonies, or if they sold controlled substances in the past.
And what if somebody slips through the cracks and ends up in this facility who's a violent offender and then commits another violent offense? So let's forget the second part and just say, what happens if a violent offender does come through and ends up residing there while they're trying to become sober? What is the repercussion? Does their license get pulled? Do they get a fine? What is it?
There are provisions in the code where all the requirements for a special use permit, including those, would need to be complied. So if any of those provisions are no longer in compliance, then their special use permit could be revoked.
Okay, thank you. So this is back to you, sir.
Yes.
So do you have something in writing that states what your duties and responsibilities are to the community when allowing someone to come in for sobriety to screen whether or not they're a violent offender?
Yes, we have an intake process in addition to the screening that was done by the healthcare agency in Santa Ana. So our screening process is, what kind of medications they're on, how many times have they been in and out of recovery, and then.
So you rely on a healthcare facility. You really don't screen them. You just.
We do during the intake, yes. We do a complete intake with the new client that we get. And this is where our assessment comes in.
Can you specify how you do that? Do you talk to the person?
We
do. You
do.
Have something in writing?
We have a 40-page intake packet that I believe we've submitted to the city during our application process.
Do you have a success rate?
Yeah, we're about 75% completion on our clients that complete the 90-day program.
Does every one of your facilities prevent violent offenders on all the places that you have?
Yes, they're all screened.
Has anyone ever slipped through the cracks?
We've never had any violent reporting, any kind of an assault, any kind of a rape, any incident that would be considered, a egregious type of action. We've not had that. No stabbings, no.
Have you had
shootings.
calls for service from the local jurisdiction?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, we do have some calls that happen, but for example, I believe they're very infrequent, and when they are, I would say it's less than 10 annually, and it's not related typically to any kind of violence. It's related to somebody who has a medical condition, maybe that or some kind of a painful situation within themselves, and they've asked us to, get additional help for them, medical help.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Moore.
Just wanted to propose that we go to closed session if that line of questioning was going to continue. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
I just have a, sorry, are you currently operating at 1601?
No.
Okay.
We have 3 tenants that just have nothing to do with recovery, that live there just as private residents.
So there's an email in the record. I want to give you an opportunity to respond to it. It's from Teresa Parra, October 21st, 2025. And it talks about an incident where there was an attempted break-in at her home by a man clearly under the influence, barefoot, repeatedly trying to enter the home. Have you read that email?
I did.
What's your take on that?
I have no knowledge of that incident, and one of the things, comparatively speaking to some of the other homes that I operate, this one is probably the busiest of them all because it's a quarter mile from Harbor and Baker. As we know, Baker runs right off the 55, so if you take it all the way across, there's a lot of people that, whether it's bike traffic, foot traffic, vehicles going up and down that street, they use Baker as a workaround to get over to Adams through the Mesa Verde area there. So there's just a lot more activity with, transient people, who knows what, but
It's a busy street.
it is.
So then but you're saying that you because you don't have the SUP yet, you haven't started even operating.
We have not operated,
Okay.
correct. We've had the sheriff, just to be clear, we had the Orange County Sheriff do their certification because we've been trying to get this SUP for a couple years now. And we're grateful that we're finally, getting closer. But ultimately, because we have that certification, does not mean we're operating. It means we're ready to operate, once we get full approval from the city of Costa Mesa. Then we have to get the additional contractual addition with the healthcare agency who we're contracted with.
So when did you buy the property?
Pardon me?
When did you buy the property?
2013.
Oh, 2013?
Yeah.
Okay. Because then Ms. Parra also asserts that there's been numerous police and emergency medical responses to the property. To your knowledge, is that true?
That would be untrue.
Okay. All right. I don't have any other questions. Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
And then let's open it up to the public. Public can speak on this item now. You get 3 minutes. You're going to hear a beep. Same thing like we did with public comment if you were here. You'll hear a beep at 2 minutes and you have to wrap it up. Does anybody want to speak?
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Marilyn Scott Waters. I live on 1589 Baker Street. My husband and I have been homeowners on Baker Street for almost 35 years. And some of you may know my brother, Jim Scott. He's weighed on this from the Battle of the Bell, or remember my dad from the Jim Scott Stadium. Just so you know, Costa Mesa has 16 and a half times, and I know you know this, the number of sober living facilities than anywhere else in the state. We have 30% of the state licensed drug and alcohol treatment facilities in Orange County, but only 3.6 of the county's population, which puts a stress on our police and our services. So I have a few questions to ask tonight. My first question is, why are the zoning laws written that they're not in compliance with the Costa Mesa general plan's promise to protect the character of residential neighborhoods. John Zick in the planning committee, I've been going to too many of these meetings. So John Zick from the Planning Commission said, so we could conceivably have a senior home next to a sober living home, next to a home for the disabled, next to a home for abused children, next to a halfway house, next to a recovery home for battered women, all in one block. That's the way your zoning laws, our zoning laws are now. And that doesn't even include Airbnbs. So Irvine doesn't have this kind of zoning chaos. Why does Costa Mesa? Are any of these, I mean, all these things are great, but do we have to have them one next to the other? My second question, do you have any discretion in voting on this matter? Or are your hands tied by the law, by state law? Because would a reasonable person thinking that allowing a sober living facility with adult men next to a group home for teenage girls be a good idea? There's been a lot of back and forth on whether 601 Baker Street has been operating without a permit or the 6 guys there are just tenants. Has anyone bothered to call the OC Healthcare Agency to verify these claims? They administer the contract according to awarded to Step House. And I'm concerned by the lack of external oversight. A once-a-year inspection by the state is not inspiring confidence for me. We're all on his word that they're going to be good neighbors, but the city of Costa Mesa does not have, there's no external inspections. The state, the sheriffs come once a year to inspect these places. Anyway, thank you for your time. Thank you for everyone who met with me, and I really appreciate you doing the right thing.
Thank you, ma'am. Oh, yeah.
Hello, Becca Walls. I get to talk about something other than animals. So in my real life, I'm actually a licensed clinical social worker for over 19 years. And my specialty is in homeless mental health and forensics. And so a couple things I would say as someone who's worked with contracts with OCHCA, as well as high-level forensics for the state of California, I just would encourage the council to ask a bigger question that I would be concerned with as somebody who's boots on the ground in this type of environment. One of the biggest issues Costa Mesa's had with our sober livings is recruitment from out of state and no plan for people to go home from out of state. So although they have Cal Optima and the other Medi-Cal within Orange County for the managed care providers, we want to make sure that they're not recruiting from out of state. And if they are recruiting from out of state, what would be the plan when they curb them for them to go back to their state? That's actually where our entire Costa Mesa homeless problem came from. I also want to mention, thanks to things like Prop 57, like rape of an unconscious victim, which I would consider violent, is now nonviolent. So when we define nonviolent and violent crimes in the state of California, it's actually significantly different than what you would expect. Yeah, your face says what we're all thinking is that it's really different than what you would expect. Also, already in Costa Mesa, you have what we call stop-funded housing, which is funded by parole, which means you already have 290s, which means you have sex offenders, and you already have violent people within the city of Costa Mesa. So just throwing that out there. I live in this neighborhood. I actually see this house at least once a day, if not multiple times a day. I'm not going to comment either way on whether the house is there or not. I'm not here to talk about that, but I do think it's important to look at my biggest concern as somebody on both sides being in the neighborhood, as well as the mental health and the professional side, would be if they're recruiting from out of state. If so, what is their plan to return people? That would be a bigger question for me personally. And then to the point of like the 290s and the nonviolent versus violent offenders, at that point, unless they're under supervision, it's basically impossible to manage. I could talk about the assessment process all day long. There are screening tools and things like that, but unless they're doing a rap sheet, you're not going to be able to see that if they're not actively on parole or probation supervision. So just put that out there.
Good evening, Ron Waters, 60-some-odd year resident of Costa Mesa, 35-year resident on Baker Street. My concern, objective LU1A of our land use element plan says establish and maintain a balance of land uses throughout the community to preserve the residential character of the city at a level no greater than can be supported by the infrastructure. So Mesa Verde residents are promised that the city will protect the character and quality of our neighborhood. And we already have a short-term residential therapeutic program at 1597 Baker. And that can be a challenge, but it's acceptable because on the impact of the quality of life, because we try to be good neighbors. However, having two special use homes, one right next to each other, even though they're classified different, is an unfair burden on the other residents of Baker Street. Yes, the 650 feet rule or distance law applies to other sober living homes, but not to other special uses, as has been mentioned before. Yes, it's legal, but is it appropriate? Yes, it is legal, but is it the best use for these properties? And also, is this best for the therapies involved? Thank you.
Mayor Stevens and council members, thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Kristen Auslander, and I live directly behind 1601 Baker Street. I moved to Costa Mesa 5 years ago when I was expecting my second child. There were two primary reasons we chose Costa Mesa. One was the family-friendly neighborhood. The second was a backyard where my children could safely play with their friends. While I'm supportive of treatment programs, I'm concerned about this facility being in our neighborhood. Step House Recovery has clearly been operating 1601 Baker without approval, which is a violation of Costa Mesa Municipal Code 13-311A1, and also makes me question the integrity of the operator. Mr. Villigut has stated that it has not been operated as a sober living home, even though there's been plenty of evidence to the contrary. Additionally, other properties operated by Step House Recovery have had a history of police activity found through searching Fountain Valley public records. Mr. Villigut in prior Planning Commission meetings has talked about the discharge policy, but that isn't triggered until something happens. I live directly behind with a 6-foot fence. I don't want something to happen to my family or my neighbors. Often my son and friends lose their balls over the fence. I allow them to go to my neighbors on the side. I don't allow them to go to 1601 Baker. How do I explain that to my young children? I respectfully request that this application is reconsidered, considering the best interest of our community. Thank you.
Is there anybody on Zoom?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. HP, please.
HP, you have the floor.
Oh, hi there, Mayor and council members. My name is Wyatt, and I had sent in some slides.
Okay. Do
we can pull those up? Okay, so I also came to both of the first two meetings and brought up the fact that this house has clearly been operating for several years. If you go, this is the Orange County Certificate of Compliance that was approved by Dominic Mexico, who I actually spoke to on the phone, and he was very shocked to hear that it wasn't operating when I talked to him. If you can go to the next slide. It's kind of grainy, but this is the contract. Guys, be quiet just a second. This is the contract from the Orange County Healthcare Agency that's been in place for several years. Now, if you go to the next page of this contract, listed, highlighted there is 1601 Baker Street. I think the Orange County Healthcare Agency would be very interested to know that they weren't actually sending anyone to this property if they had been awarded all this money and there was going to be these 4 properties that they could send people to. If you go to the next slide, and that's just a blank page. I think you can just go to the last page now. So there's Mr. Billiget's signature. So another thing that, if you go and you check historical websites that actually catalog the historical web pages, you can see that on the left there is Step Houses. That's their website. And the pictures that are highlighted are the interiors of 1601 Baker Street. And you can see that they're the same pictures on the Zillow listing. According to Costa Mesa Municipal Code 13, I hope I'm saying this right, 13-311 section B, or subsection B, paragraph A, any inconsistency in the application or providing any materially false or misleading information or omitting pertinent information would require that this project be denied. So I would ask you guys to do a little bit of your own research and maybe reach out to the Orange County Healthcare Agency and reach out to the Sheriff's Department and find out for yourselves if they've actually been operating this place or not. I can tell you, as somebody who lives right next door, I'm pretty sure I know what's going on there. If you just read that contract, it's been in place for, I believe, over 7 years now. Thank you so much for taking a look at this tonight. That's all I have.
Thank you.
No further speakers, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Let's keep the public hearing open for a little while. Sir, can you come on up? So I want to give you an opportunity if you want to say anything in rebuttal, but specifically I want to ask you, so I asked you whether you've been operating, you said no.
Correct.
And then now Wyatt, the gentleman just on Zoom, showed us some slides. He showed the certification that references 1601 Baker and this Zillow ad, and also the contract that also references 1601 Baker. What's your explanation for?
Yeah, I have the explanation. So basically, that's an old contract that we were going to be using Baker for, but because we were not able to get the SUP, we're not going to operate without having the blessing of the city. So I believe I sent in this afternoon April Thornton, who's the head of the HCA for the client referral program. She sent the present contract that we've had for at least 4 years. And Mr. Mendez, did you get that into copied on that by chance?
I did. City Clerk, I'm not.
And it comes from her directly, and
Yes.
she states on the email, hopefully this helps clear up whatever issues you may be having from the residents around the Baker area. And Baker's not listed on there, so that's Mr. Wyatt's inaccuracy. And then in addition to that, that website has not been updated for a while. We are not doing any active solicitation for Baker, not until we have this special use permit. And even then, we don't really have to solicit anything because almost 99.9% of our clients come directly from the county. And so there's really no reason for us to do any type of advertising. How
did it end up on Zillow then?
I have no idea.
Can I see a copy of that?
I've never seen this, and I have no knowledge of it.
She sent, this is in your hard copy.
I mean, with
documents.
Photoshop and Illustrator and everything these days, anything's possible, but I've never seen that.
Somebody else has a copy, anybody who has a copy, I just want to look at it. Yeah, for the record, this is an amendment number 8. It's dated August of 2025, and it lists 3 addresses, one on Ellis in Fountain Valley, the other on Polder in Huntington Beach, and the other is on El Morro Circle in Fountain Valley, but does not list 1601 Baker. Thank you. Yeah, it's under a pile of other rubble on my desk right now. But thank you to the Mayor Pro Tem for that, and or Councilmember Reynolds if she provided it. Thank you.
I'd like to address one other thing.
Of course.
With Mr. Wyde's comment about calling the Orange County Sheriff Coordinator, Dominic Mexico, because I've known for about 10 years. He called me this afternoon. He said he had 4 different phone calls from individuals, probably some of them may not even in the neighborhood, but they had distress just saying another sober living is going to be added into our area. And his comment to me was, George, I cannot acknowledge or deny whether you're operating or not. I said, of course not. However, what I can do is tell them that our certifications are preemptive to somebody getting their SUP. That's how we've done business all these years. And they'd be happy to take a phone call from the city council, you, Mr. Mayor, or anybody from the city, code enforcement, whoever that wants to come do a site visit, whatever they'd like to do. We're very transparent, and we got nothing to hide. We're just trying to do things exactly by the book as called for.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
We allow hearsay here. I got a question for you, though.
Yes.
So you've owned the property since 2013. What have you been doing with the property in the last 13 years?
For a while, Step House was running detox and residential treatment. So that was probably about 5 or 6 years of use. And thereafter, we got our contract with the county. We decided that's a better milieu for us and for the clients and people we're trying to help. So we rented it out to a residential family. That was for probably about a 2 or 3 year period. But one thing that was brought up by the LCSW, the licensed social worker, which is a good point, we have zero to do with anybody that's from out of state that we're recruiting or using insurance for. Absolutely nothing. We do not body or patient brokering, as it's called. We are required by our contract and by the city's ordinance under this SUP to, when we discharge somebody, that they have a safe plan of where, and a passage where they're going to go, so they're not homeless. I mean, we do have a vested interest in helping people. And I wanted to make sure I address that, because we do not do any of that crazy stuff that you hear about people coming from Oklahoma or Tennessee or wherever, and then once their insurance runs out, they kick them out and they patient dump them at hospitals. We've never done any of that.
Any other questions, council? Do you have anything further to say?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay, close public comment. Anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Councilmember Bewley, you have the floor to make a motion.
I'd make a motion that we adopt a resolution reversing the Planning Commission's decision to uphold the hearing officer's issuance of the special use permit. And if I get a second, I'll speak to it.
Seconded by Councilmember Gameros.
Okay, there may be some questions as to the credibility on this issue. And I think under subsection B1, denied based on providing false or misleading information, but that's not really my concern here. My concern here goes with my earlier line of questioning, and I appreciated the comments from the public. We did not communicate on our nature and change to the character makeup of the city, or violations of, and I won't retread the same ground that I did in my questions, the land use element, the specific provisions. I'm concerned that although this may not violate the strict letter of the ordinance, it does, in my mind, violate the character of what's trying to be achieved in various of our other ordinances and our land use elements. And in particular, non-owner occupied residential businesses upsetting the nature and the balance of our neighborhoods, upsetting the nature and the integrity of where we're trying to live. I understand that this is a facility attempting to provide a legitimate service, but our residential neighborhoods, there's got to be a tipping point. And we hear in this instance that there's other non-owner occupied residential businesses that may not be sober living homes, but at some point you're having neighborhoods that are no longer residences or residential. So for that, I'm going to deny this one, and it's going to, I hope, give this council an opportunity to revisit some of our ordinances and take a good hard look at how we're conducting some of these things.
Okay. Does the second wish to be heard?
No, thank you.
All right. So I'm going to make where is it? I'm going to make a substitute motion. I'm not sure how to do it. I make a substitute motion to uphold the Planning Commission.
Second.
Okay. Yeah. Look, sir, I questioned you on this issue of whether you've been operating. I thought your answers were satisfactory, so that and credible, and I appreciate that. So I don't think there's a basis under B1 to deny your application. It's a ministerial review. You're under our code. There are a lot of requirements that we've put in place. I personally voted on those, and they were very carefully crafted, and they've been upheld by the Ninth Circuit twice, in part because they're fair and balanced, and because we do have this ministerial review. I'm very concerned that by deviating from our code will jeopardize the entire code. And so I think we have to be very careful here. And if, however, there are issues of legitimate issues of public safety, those will be addressed. And if, I expect them to be addressed by our PD and by our code enforcement. And if there's a basis for revocation, if you don't follow these rules, I expect that they will be strictly enforced. And so I just don't see that there's a basis to deny under these circumstances. Second?
I mean, Mr. Mayor, you said it all very well. I think the one thing I'll add is I appreciate the ability for folks to bring things forward and give residents a chance to speak their voice. It's very important that we do so. But as the mayor mentioned, we have a ministerial review process that's been upheld by federal court. This is from my understanding, the basis of a lot of similar ordinances statewide. And it's very important for not only Costa Mesa's residents, but also those residents who are living in these homes to have protections that, give them a good chance to recover. So thank you, Mayor, for your good comments. And I agree with you. Based on our own ordinance, we will approve this. Thank you.
Do any other, Councilmember Reynolds?
Yeah, just a follow-up question or ask for confirmation. In your comments, you said, if there is a basis for revocation of the permit. My understanding is there is a strong basis for revocation of the permit if conditions are not followed. Can someone on staff confirm that?
Yes, so failure to comply with the requirements of these provisions may result in the revocation of this permit.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, let's call for the question on the substitute motion.
Motion carries 6-1 with Councilmember Bewley voting no.
All right, thank you very much. And we'll thank you for everybody who participated in that. And so we're going to move on to number 2. Does anybody need a break? We need a break? Yeah, let's just take a break till like 8. Yeah, let's take a 10-minute break to 8:20.
guys, we're gonna get started.
All right,
Everybody can quiet down, please. Thank you.
We're actually back on the record, everybody, so let's take our places. And we're going to move on to public hearing item number 2. Madam Clerk, could you please read the title?
Item number 2, fiscal year 2026-2027 annual action plan, identifying funding priorities for the Community Development Block Grant and Home Investment Partnerships Grants programs. To kick off the presentation will be Ms. McGill, Planning Manager.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members, Anna McGill, Advanced Planning Manager. I just wanted to take a quick moment to introduce Nancy Saw. She's the Development Services new Grants Administrator. This is her first time presenting at City Council, but she started with the city back in February, and she brings a wealth of knowledge in HUD and just general grants administration in her time at the City of Fremont and at the San Diego Housing Commission. So with that, I'll go ahead and hand over for her to go through the presentation. Thank you.
Welcome. We're much better than the City of Fremont.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. This item requests approval of the fiscal year 2026-2027 annual action plan and authorization to submit the plan to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD. Each year, the City of Costa Mesa receives approximately $1.3 million through 2 HUD entitlement grants, the Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG, and the Home Investment Partnerships Grant, or Program, or HOME. Use of these funds is restricted by federal regulations. CDBG supports community development activities such as infrastructure, public facilities, and community centers, and must meet one of HUD's national objectives, which are listed on the slide before you. Costa Mesa uses its funds primarily to benefit low and moderate income residents. Home funds are used to preserve and increase housing opportunities for low-income households through activities like affordable housing development. This slide provides HUD-defined income limits for Orange County. Both CDBG and home funds must directly benefit low and moderate income households or be at or below 80% of the area median income. The consolidated plan is a 5-year strategic plan required for the city to receive CDBG and home funding. It identifies and prioritizes housing and community development needs. The City Council adopted the current consolidated plan on May 20, 2025. The fiscal year 2026-2027 annual action plan represents the second year of this 5-year plan. The annual action plan connects the consolidated plan goals with specific activities for the upcoming fiscal year. HUD typically requires submission of the plan 45 days before the start of the fiscal year, which for the City of Costa Mesa is by May 15th. Both the consolidated plan and the annual action plan, as well as any substantial amendments, requires a 30-day public comment period and a public hearing. The comment period for this plan began on April 3rd and concludes after tonight's hearing. To notify the public, the city published a notice in the Daily Pilot, emailed neighboring housing departments, and used various outreach tools, including the city's Spotlight, social media, and the weekly snapshot. Physical flyers and notices were also posted at city facilities. The city's consolidated plan goals include housing preservation, infrastructure and facility improvements, homelessness continuum of care services, and program administration. The activities in the annual action plan are designed to meet these goals. For fiscal year 2026, the city will receive $880,986 in new CDBG funds, and we have about $172,881 in prior year funds, for a total of $1,053,867. This year's grant amount is about a 3% decrease from fiscal year 2025. The city will also receive $377,329 in new home funds, and this is almost level funding from fiscal year 2025. We also have approximately $684,668 in prior year funds, for a total of $1,061,997. Staff recommends that CDBG funds be used for public service grants, code enforcement, housing rehabilitation, and program administration. Public services are capped at 15% of the annual grant amount, which for this year is $132,147. CDBG-funded code enforcement is limited to areas where at least 51% of residents are low to moderate income. For the city of Costa Mesa, about 55% of our city meets this criteria. On the next slide, we'll have a map of Costa Mesa with those CDBG areas highlighted. The city's housing rehabilitation program is funded with both CDBG and home funds. The CDBG funding provides additional flexibility and increases program eligibility. HUD allows up to 20% of CDBG funding to be used for program administration, which includes staffing, contractual and legal services, direct program costs, and fair housing services if it's not funded under public services. Staff also recommends keeping $241,000 in CDBG funding as unallocated or unprogrammed funding at this time. Keeping this funding as unallocated allows for some flexibility so the city is not at risk of its timeliness compliance requirements with HUD. If a feasible project arises mid-year, the annual action plan can be amended and brought back to council. And if no project is identified, the funds will roll over to next year to support a future capital project. One option staff considered is to increase funding to a previously awarded pending project that still has a funding gap. In fiscal year 2024, CDBG funding was awarded for the Senior Center Roof Project, and in fiscal year 2025, funding was awarded for the West Side Street Improvements Project. These projects have not yet begun construction. The unallocated funding could be awarded to either of these projects if it helps bridge the gap in funding and allows them to begin construction. The reason we did not award the funding for these projects is because the available funding was still not enough to bridge the gap to begin construction, and there was not clear information on the timing to begin the construction. And as I mentioned earlier, we didn't want to commit funds to multi-year funding and risk our timeliness requirement with HUD. This slide is the CDBG map that I referred to. This map shows the CDBG eligible areas for fiscal year 2026. A supplemental memo was released this morning to share that the map was updated to show the correct block groups that are CDBG eligible. The areas highlighted in blue are the census tract block groups where at least 51% of the residents are low to moderate income. This slide summarizes the applications that we received for the CDBG Public Service Grants Program and the Housing and Public Service Grants Committee's funding recommendations. The Senior Center Community Outreach Worker and the Fair Housing Foundation are not included in this table because they are outside of the committee's review process. That's why the total amount recommended at the bottom is $102,000, even though the cap for public services is $132,000. The committee reviewed public service grants applications and developed recommendations for council consideration. The final HUD allocations were not announced at the time of the meeting, so the committee used a conservative estimate, assuming a 10% reduction from fiscal year 25 funding, and they also included recommendations on how to adjust the awards once the actual amounts were announced. 7 nonprofit organizations applied, and the committee recommends funding 4. The recommendations shown here reflect the committee's decisions, updated to align with the actual HUD grant allocation. Additional details are included in attachment 3 of the agenda report. And a member of the committee is here tonight to answer any questions about their deliberation process. For fiscal year 2026, home funds will support the housing rehabilitation program, tenant-based rental assistance, and program administration. HUD also requires 15% set aside for a community housing development organization, or CHODO. Staff recommends keeping $331,000 in home funds unallocated. If a project is identified, staff will return to council with an amendment to the annual action plan. If no project is identified, staff may later recommend issuing an RFP for affordable housing development once additional home funding becomes available. And any unused funds will roll over into the next fiscal year. Staff recommends that City Council take the actions shown on the slide before you. And that concludes my presentation. I'm available to answer any questions, and as I mentioned, a member of the Housing and Public Services Grants Committee is also here to answer any questions. Thanks.
Any questions? Councilmember Gameros?
Thank you. Can you please go back to slide 10, please? I noticed that some of the program applicants were denied. Is there a basis for denial?
There is a scoring criteria that all committee members use to score the applications. And if an applicant receives a score of under 70, then they're automatically denied. None of the applicants on the screen before you scored below 70, though. So this was just, they were denied because the funding went to the other organizations.
Okay, that's all I needed to know. Everyone scored over 70, right?
Yes.
So they're all eligible, technically?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Reynolds?
Yeah, just a couple of quick questions, and thanks for the answers you provided ahead of this meeting. This is money coming from the federal administration. Is this 100% locked in, or is there any risk that this money doesn't come this year?
It has been appropriated by the federal government, so it most likely will be coming in. And then as long as we submit the annual action plan on time, we should be getting a contract from HUD.
Got it. Okay. And I just wanted to follow up. I had a question on Meals on Wheels. I recall we used to fund it through here. I understand we then funded it from the general fund, which sort of locks us out from funding it here. I just want to make sure that Meals on Wheels is part of our plan going forward.
So you are correct that we did historically fund Meals on Wheels with CDBG funding, and for whatever reason, we switched funding, and when they were funded with general funding, that made them ineligible for CDBG funding for 2 fiscal years. For this upcoming fiscal year, we are in communications with the Parks and Community Services Director to figure out a funding plan for them for this upcoming fiscal year. If they are not funded with general funding for fiscal year 26, then they are eligible to apply for CDBG funding in fiscal year 27.
Okay, but regardless for this item, it's not even eligible funding source because of how it's been funded in the past. Okay. Oh, and I don't know if you have these answers. I had a question about the unspent funds from previous years. So sometimes we have unallocated funds because we're saving those for CIP projects, I understand. My understanding is a lot of the funding from previous years was not unallocated, but just unspent from previous programs. Do you have any additional detail on that? When we approve this funding, we're looking at numbers like, you know, families served or dollars allocated for rental assistance and so on and so forth. So I'm just curious what funding we approved or support we approved that wasn't actually used in the previous year. Do we have that detail?
I don't have it down to the specific activity item. I can tell you from a high level, sometimes the reasons why we have unspent prior year funding is if we receive program income for that fiscal year, we are required to use the program income first. And so if we are using program income for an approved activity, the grant amount that we get kind of gets pushed aside to the end. And if we end up not using it, it gets rolled over to the next year.
Okay, so it doesn't necessarily mean a reduction in service compared to what we approved. Okay, is that relatively easy information to get?
It is.
Over the next couple weeks?
Yeah, we can pull that information for you.
I'd be interested in getting that feedback as well. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
But sort of a follow-on question, it seems like both for home and CDBG, you were not proposing spending the full amount that we have available. Am I reading that right?
Yes.
Okay. And so what is the plan for the remaining, how fast can I do that math in my head, 180 something K?
Sorry, for CDBG funding?
Correct, yes.
So for CDBG funding, we had about $240,000. That's going to be.
Math in my head was very bad, yes.
Sorry, I can get to, no, you're going too fast, yeah. Right here. So for CDBG, we have about $241,000 that is unallocated, so we didn't tie it to an activity for this upcoming fiscal year. So if we can always, if there's a project that comes up mid-year that we feel is going to be good gap financing to help it kind of start construction, we can bring that back to council, amend the action plan, and fund it. If we end up not finding a program throughout the year, it'll roll over into next year, and we can combine it with next year's grant money to have a bigger pot of money to award a capital project.
So to Councilmember Gamaris' point, though, I mean, conceivably, if we wanted to fund all of the proposed programs that met the minimum criteria, we could also do that.
No, we could not. So the $241,000 can't be used for public service grants. HUD mandates that only 15% of your annual allocation be used for public services, and that's the $132,147.
Okay, I apologize if I missed that in the first time around. Thank you.
But what we could do, hold on one second. But what we could do is, like, let's say hypothetically, we wanted to provide $30,000 to Trellis for their Labors of Love project, let's say. What we could do is take that money from the staff's recommendation to spend $30,000 on a portion of the city's senior center community outreach position, correct?
That's correct. The
Okay.
senior center outreach position is from public services, so you could reallocate that money to Trellis.
Yeah, and then we could then backfill that position and use some of the unallocated money for that, right?
No, because the community center or the senior center community outreach worker is still a public service. The activity itself is a public service.
Okay, what about, could we take some of the money that we've directed, could we take some of the unallocated money, let me just think this through. Could we take some of the money that we've directed to code enforcement, the 400 and some odd thousand, and use that to pay the senior center community outreach worker, and then use some of the unallocated money to backfill the code enforcement?
No, the unallocated money can't be used for any type of public service. And the senior center outreach worker is considered a public service activity.
Okay, so it just it has to be some type of a public works project.
It has to be a community development project.
Community development project. Okay, so if we took as I said, if we took the $30,000 from the staff partial salary for the senior center community outreach worker and provided it to Labors of Love, then would we just fund that $30,000 from the general fund?
That's something the council could do. However, if you fund the $30,000 from general funding, the senior center outreach worker would not be eligible to receive CDBG funding next year.
Oh, I see. All right. Life is choices. Okay, any other questions? All right, let's open it up to the public.
Do you want to let the...
No? Yes. Yes. You may be heard, yeah.
All right. Hi, council. Hi, staff. Excuse me. My name is Raina, and I am the City Catalyst Director for Love Costa Mesa. And I'm here, obviously, to talk about Labors of Love, which unfortunately was not funded by the CDBG committee. And I love all the other nonprofits, so I'm so happy for them that they got funding. But just to share a little bit about us, for those of you who don't know who we are, we exist to provide a free manual labor service for neighbors in need, particularly for our seniors, disabled, vets, and single parents. So with the support of the city, we've been able to implement this program since 2022. And since its inception, we've been able to help over 100 neighbors with all types of projects, including fixing their showers, their toilets, replacing rotten wood on stairways, removal of broken fences, large debris, overgrown weeds. There's so many things we can name. We've done all types of projects that you can think of. We've partnered closely with Senior Center Code Enforcement, specifically with that part-time fund. We've partnered with Lucy over at the Senior Center. She refers to us so many clients who need our help to meet neighbors at their lowest. So neighbors who are facing significant health issues, Many of them have death of a recent loved one. They've been disabled due to illness or recent job loss. So we're really meeting them where they really need it most. And so we surround them with teams of volunteers every first Saturday of the month by giving back, bringing hope, and pouring love into our neighbors who need it most. Labors of Love prevents homelessness for many of our seniors and low-income families. So the work we do is absolutely integral to this community. And tonight, with the loss of CDBG funds, we are being put at risk to put a pause to these services for our most vulnerable neighbors. So thank you for listening.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and neighbors. My name is Alma Fausto, and I serve on the Housing and Public Service Grants Committee. I'm here to just talk a little bit more about our funding recommendations for this year's Community Development Block Grant allocations. In March, our committee met to evaluate the applications from 7 organizations seeking funding. We heard from most of the applicant organizations who outlined their goals and responded to questions from the committee. Each committee member evaluated applications based on both written submissions and presentations. We considered community impact, how outcomes are measured, organizational capacity, and whether services duplicate existing resources. Based on our ranking process and discussion, we identified Families Forward, Human Options, and Project Hope Alliance as the organizations to receive funding allocation, with Dance for Joy Ministries also included in our recommendations subject to available funding. The organizations we recommended for funding meet really important needs in our community. Families Forward supports unhoused Costa Mesa families with children. Human Options provides transitional housing and services for domestic violence survivors. Project Hope Alliance offers case management for students experiencing homelessness within Newport Mesa Unified School District. And Dance for Joy Ministries provides arts and cultural programming for children and families on the west side. At the time of our meeting, the total funding, as our grant administrator shared, was not available. The total funding available was not yet known, so we developed a strategy to adjust funding once we knew those funding amounts. If funding exceeded $92,480, Families Forward, Human Options, and Project Hope Alliance would receive proportional increases up to the requested $30,000. Any remaining funds would go to Dance for Joy Ministries. As our grant administrator, Nancy, explained, our strategy was to kind of adjust based on when we found those needs. If funding was below the $92,000 amount, but above $75,000, those organizations would receive funding reduced by an equal percentage. And if it fell below $75,000, they would receive $20,000, and Dance for Joy Ministry would not receive funding. Given the available funding, we recommended allocating $29,049 each to Families Forward, Human Options, and Project Hope Alliance, along with $15,000 for Dance for Joy Ministries. So each organization, provides such meaningful services, and our goal was to maximize community impact with those available resources. We appreciate the time and effort each organization put into their submissions and their presentations, and we all learned so much. And we're just really grateful for their time, and thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Bertie Kumar. I'm Labors of Love coordinator. I coordinate the projects. Can we see slide 10 again? Yeah. So on here, we're the only ones serving seniors, specifically. I got to meet 25 different seniors this last year, and I spent time in their home, and I spent time in their yard, and I cleaned up their weeds, and we had a whole team of volunteers blessing these people with brand new trim trees, weeds gone, we fixed stuff, all the stuff, you've heard it. Our seniors, when we have a beautiful senior community here that is continuing to age, these responsibilities of their yards that they've worked years on and made beautiful, and it's out of their control now. They're unable to maintain their yards because one gal I sat with this week, shoulder surgery, she can't do it. Her Social Security check is $1,200 every month, and her landlord just raised her rent on her RV space, the exact amount that her Social Security check that she got her raise, whatever it was, like 2-3%, whatever it is. Hand to mouth, the seniors in our community who've built our community, who've made it beautiful for the last 50, 60, 70, 80 years, are falling through the cracks, and we need to support them. We're doing it. Help us to keep doing it. It's a small thing, but it means everything to them because they're not getting a code enforcement violation, which they also cannot afford. They can't pay a gardener. So we get to go in and do it for free. We get to meet them in the process. They get to meet a group of 10, 15, 20 people from the community who now know where they live, what their name is, and what their needs are. Those are the connections that we're trying to build in this community. Help us keep doing it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, my name is Christy Hernandez, and I'm the founder and executive director of Dance for Joy Ministries. And I just wanted to come before the council and also for the committee for the CDBG block grant and say that we're so honored to be recommended this evening for funds to expand our folklorico dance program on the west side of Costa Mesa called West Side Alive. Dance for Joy has been serving on the west side through our partnership with the Wilson Street Learning Center for the last 10 years with joyful dance classes that are completely free to the children at the center. In that time, we have seen significant growth in the confidence, joy, and cultural pride of our beloved children and their families who live on the west side and attend the Learning Center. 3 years ago, we wanted to offer expanded and free opportunities for the children around the center and give greater community development by having a folklorico camp that is 1 year during the week in June. First, Supervisor Katrina Foley gave Dance for Joy a grant from post-pandemic funds to get this started. Then in the last 2 to 3 years, the Costa Mesa Newport Harbor Lions Club, the Costa Mesa Foundation, and the Costa Mesa Arts Council have all supported this once-a-year camp with funding. This funding makes our camp completely free to all the children who attend. Now, with the recommendation to receive funding from the CDBG grant, we have an opportunity to expand to hundreds more children and have the program available year-round, not just once a year. Dance for Joy uplifts the cultural beauty and heritage of the children and their families, offering wellness socially, physically, psychologically, emotionally, spiritually, and artistically in the beautiful low and moderate income communities of the West Side. Thank you again for this opportunity to expand joy on the West Side. It's an honor to be recommended this evening.
Thank you. Anybody on Zoom?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Close public comment. Councilmember Gomeros, you have a motion?
Yes, I do. I'd like to make a motion that we take the 3 largest grant recipients. If you add that together, it's $87,147. Divide that by 4, which would be $21,786.75, and add labors of love to that, which the other 3 would get a lower amount, but we would also get labors of love in there for the amount of $21,786. If I can get a second.
Second.
Okay, do you wish to be heard on that?
I was heard. Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I want to do.
Anything?
Yeah, I'll speak a little bit to, first of all, I want to thank the committee. This is actually a committee I do serve on, and I will share, they did spend a lot of time in picking the right recommendation. One of the things that comes up every single year, without fail, is how to handle Trellis's popularity with the council. It is very well known that Trellis will always get a piece of the pie throughout the process. And one of the calculuses committed during this conversation was knowing that council will most likely move to give funds to Trellis, how best can we maximize the service we're giving the community? So I just want to mention that the 4 people that were chosen very diligently. They were chosen on a variety of factors, such as number of people served, the impact of how they'll serve, and all of those factors together. But again, Trellis does provide a very unique benefit in that it works with seniors that oftentimes do need that assistance because their income will not allow them to receive those funds. So with that explanation, I hope that everyone will support this motion because it's a good motion and it also respects the work the committee did in their deliberations.
I want to make a substitute motion, but again, my button fails me, okay? My substitute motion is to just leave the staff recommendation where it is, except I would take the $30,000 that the staff recommended that we allocate toward the portion of the salary of the senior center community outreach position and grant it to Labors of Love and leave all the other numbers the same. And then that way we get to the $132,147.90 that we have to allocate to these nonprofits.
Second.
Okay, the reason I want to do that is I just don't want to, these are all very important. I like them all. I don't want to cut them. And I think that it's a good trade-off. Of course, I've seen what Labors of Love does. I follow it. And I also was persuaded by the comments of Raina and the director that this is the only nonprofit that deals with seniors. And I think we will definitely fund the outreach worker through other funding. And I'm at peace with the idea that next year we won't be able to do the funding of that of the outreach worker by CBDG. I understand that consequence. Anything?
It's a good motion.
All right, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
Did you say the senior center casework? Which
So it's the outreach worker. So it's here. It's on page 3 of 8, and it says staff recommends allocating $30,000 to fund the salary of the senior center community outreach position, and that's the delta between what we're allowed to allocate to the nonprofits and what we have in our. So I'm just saying, rather than do that, add that and just add $30,000, and then we foot to the 132.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I understood your motion. Do you mind if I ask the city manager a question before?
Of course.
Figuring out how I'm going to vote on this?
Yeah.
Are we then able to fund, we would have to fund that caseworker out of the general fund? Is that what you're thinking if we move forward with this?
That's what we would be looking at to determine the feasibility of that.
And is it really $30,000, or does this offset some of the staff salary that I'm assuming fully loaded is more than $30,000?
Yeah, I'm going to actually ask Director Ty to weigh in here.
Yeah, this 30,000 amount that's included in the public service grant subsidizes a portion of the senior center caseworker. I don't have the total amount, but it just means that the following year, the city would have to find a way and find that subsidy from another funding source. It could not come out of CDBG.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Okay, I don't have anything further to say. If there's no other comments, let's get a vote on the substitute motion.
Motion carries 7-0.
All right, thank you. Good job, council. Okay, so now we're moving on to old business item number 1. Way to go on the first presentation. I know it won't be the last. Maybe it'll be the last that I'll see, but
Mr. Mayor,
last for you. Yes.
could we bring forward the Arts Commission presentation?
Sure. Yeah. That's a good suggestion.
Thank you.
And if none of the council members object to that, let's do this. So let's do new business item number 1.
Okay. This is the Arts Commission Annual Report. Presentation will be kicked off by Mr. Gruner, Parks and Community Services Director.
All right.
Thank you, Honorary Mayor, council members, members of the public. As mentioned, the Arts Commission will be presenting their annual Arts Commission Working Plan. The Arts Commission was established on July 19th, 2022, and is comprised of 7 commissioners, making it a relatively young commission. Commissioners and staff have collaboratively developed this plan over the past several months and are proud of the work that has been accomplished over the past 4 years. Approximately 80% of the master plan has been successfully developed and implemented while developing private art partnerships and encouraging supporting public participation. The items being presented are recommendations by the Commission as we move into the 2026-2027 fiscal year. And I would now like to introduce the presenting commissioners. They are Chair Elisa Ochoa, Vice Chair Allison Mann, and Commissioner Fisher Dedarian.
Thank you. Thank you, Director Gruner. Thank you, Mayor Stevens, council members, city manager, staff, and members of the public. It's an honor to be here. My name is Elisa Ochoa, Chair of the Arts Commission. It's a little unusual to have us all here presenting together, but hey, we're the arts. It's in my 20 years of working in the arts in various capacities, it still holds my attention and awe. And the arts connects us across time and culture. That's a bridge, a lot like sports, perhaps. Today, I'm joined by Vice Chair Allison Mann and Commissioner Fisher Dedarian. And we may not be the Artemis II crew, but I think we're pretty great. Today, as this is our first presentation, our first Goat Hill Rodeo, let's say. We are just going to kind of take you through and provide a comprehensive overview of what we've done in the past 3.5 years, what we've accomplished, and our budget recommendations, as well as what we have to look forward to in the year ahead. I want to be clear, every item included in the slides that follow reflects the decisions and priorities that we as a commission collectively agreed upon in our last meeting. Oops, okay. As this is an introduction of sorts, I take a moment to highlight the significant progress we made in implementing the current Arts and Culture Master Plan, a 5-year roadmap running from 2021 to 26. Commissioners were sworn in at the end of 2022 and began holding public meetings at 2023. So Director Gruner is correct. We are a little baby commission. And we're still in our infancy, but we're growing mighty and strong. On the programming side, we've made arts participation barrier-free through our annual art crawl and free park performances at the Segerstrom Center campus. We've also made strides in how the city manages and promotes public art. We created new guidelines for our utility art box program, revised standards for exhibition spaces in our city facilities, and implemented an optional mural permit through the TESA for private property owners. Our arts grant program has been updated with new guidelines and a streamlined application process, and we've kept arts and culture calendar and artist directory current and relevant. We're also proud of our Poet Laureate program and the Art Venture Juried Art Exhibition and Award Ceremony, which continues to spotlight local artists. Finally, to ensure that we're on the right path for the future, Arts Orange County was hired as a consultant to develop an Art in Public Places report, which has served as a foundational framework for our public art goals. Taken together, these accomplishments reflect great momentum, and we look forward to building on this in the year ahead. The master plan items that we were unable to implement, we will address later, helping make a case for our budget recommendations. Okay, now I'd like to take a moment to highlight what the Arts Commission has accomplished for 2025, and it's been a productive year. First, a milestone, we selected our first ever Poet Laureate, Daniel Hansen, who shared a moving ode to Lions Park here a few weeks ago. She represents a historic moment in our city and a testament to the Commission's commitment to elevating the literary arts here in Costa Mesa. On the visual arts side, we reviewed and approved 12 new designs for our utility art box program, continuing to transform everyday infrastructure into small-scale public art across the city. We also reviewed and approved 9 grantees for the Arts Grant Program that year, recognizing a growing need to better support our artists and arts organizations, and we updated the program guidelines to increase the grant award amount from $2,500 to $5,000, ensuring that this keeps in pace with the community's needs. We participated in a review panel to select poetry for an exciting new initiative, the Sidewalk Poetry Project, which was implemented at Brentwood Park, bringing art directly into our neighborhood public spaces. It was so wonderful to see many of you there and among the excited children and families. We reviewed and approved the new scope of work for the Arts and Culture Master Plan update, keeping our long-term vision on track. And finally, we continued to review the Arts and Public Places report, part of a broader effort to develop a public art ordinance that would establish a sustainable funding stream and a mechanism for public art throughout Costa Mesa. We hope to bring a draft of the ordinance to council soon. At that point, we'll be able to speak on it in greater depth. Taken together, these accomplishments reflect a commission that is active, forward-thinking, and deeply invested in making arts and culture part of everyday life here. At this time, I'd like to turn the floor over to Vice Chair Allison Mann, who will walk us through the Commission's plans and priorities for the year ahead.
Thank you, Chair Ochoa. Hello, Mr. Mayor and all of the council members and city and staff. Thank you. So basically, looking ahead, the Commission has 3 key priorities that will shape our work in 2026. First, pending Council's approval of a consultant, we will be assisting in the development of an updated Arts and Culture Master Plan. It's important to note that our community has changed significantly since the original plan was developed and approved by Council in 2018. The post-COVID landscape has shifted how residents engage with arts and culture, how organizations operate, and what our community needs from its public spaces. This update is an opportunity to reflect those changes, and we are committed to ensuring the process is grounded in broad community outreach and meaningful public input, so that the plan that comes before the council truly represents the voice of Costa Mesa residents. Second, we will continue expanding the Sidewalk Poetry Project, one of the newer and more community-centered initiatives we've been excited to support. This year, we will be reviewing and approving new poems to coincide with the upcoming park renovations at Ketchum-Bleibolt and Shalimar Parks, bringing literary art directly into the neighborhood spaces where residents gather. And third, perhaps our most significant undertaking of the year, we are working on a public art ordinance for the City Council review. This ordinance represents a critical step toward establishing a formal, sustainable mechanism for funding public art projects across the city. It is something the Commission has been working toward, and we believe it will have a lasting impact on how Costa Mesa invests in and celebrates public arts for the years to come. These 3 priorities reflect the Commission's continued commitment to building a vibrant arts-forward community, and we are eager to work alongside Council and staff to bring them to life. Okay, so continuing with our 2026 plans, the Commission will also be carrying forward 3 ongoing programs that have become cornerstones of how we bring art into the everyday life of our city. First, we will continue our work reviewing and advising on TESA mural applications for private property. This voluntary program empowers Costa Mesa property owners to contribute to the city's visual character, and the Commission plays an important advisory role in ensuring each design reflects the quality and spirit of our community. 2 recent examples that you may have seen, the Mesa Vista Affordable Housing Development on Newport Boulevard and the Theodore Robbins Ford Starbucks on Harbor. We will also continue reviewing and approving new designs for the Utility Box Art Program, a popular program that has already transformed dozens of utility boxes across the city into vibrant works of art, public works of art. Each new round of designs is an opportunity to showcase local artistic talent and add color and creativity to our streetscapes. And finally, we will once again be reviewing and approving grantees for the Arts Grant Program. This program is one of the most direct ways the Commission supports the local artist ecosystem, putting resources into the hands of artists and organizations who are doing meaningful work in and for our community. Together, these ongoing programs represent the steady, consistent work of the Commission, ensuring that Costa Mesa continues to grow as a true city of the arts. And now I'd like to turn it over to Commissioner Derderian, who will address the Commission's budget priorities for the fiscal year ahead. Thank you.
Hi, Council. Great to be with you all again. It's a pleasure to be back and getting to talk about some of the decisions and proposals, rather, I should say, that the Arts Commission has been making and considering for the last few months here as we get ready for budget season. So just to give some context before we get into some of the proposals, both on the policy side and then on the budget side, of what might help, I think, move the arts forward in Costa Mesa as the city of the arts. There's just a couple things to note. One is we've had conversations with the finance department and other members of the staff. We've come to realize that there are certain structural inefficiencies that are currently happening within the process. So the amount that's allocated each year to the arts budget is actually more than is coming into the cannabis tax revenue. And so with that, finance has had to come in each mid-year review and ask for general funds backfill. And partly some of the causes are due to the way that staff is allocated within the arts budget and other things. And so when we get into this, I want to make clear to all council members that we are not asking for new general funds money. We are not looking to further burden the city in that way as we try and rethink how to most efficiently advance the arts in the city. And by making some of these code changes, through the municipal code and our various policies, I think it'll really help make more efficient and effective the money that we're putting towards the art to ensure that it is being used for the best and highest purpose and really bringing public benefit as we seek to beautify our city. So here are 6 budget priorities or proposals that we've put together more on a policy side. We'll get to the numbers in a moment with Chair Ochoa again. But just to walk you through them, the first one there is a typo on the slide. It should be reallocate the arts specialist position to the city's general fund. But as I mentioned, that takes up a significant portion of the monies that are allocated to the arts. And just because of the way in which the Art and Culture Master Plan was structured, that money has always been seen as a part of the arts budget. So if we're able to reallocate that to the general fund and treat it just as we treat any other staff position, that would free up the funds that we consider for the arts and give us greater, I think, flexibility and effectiveness in the way that we allocate the money and use it. The second, which is an issue that we've run into, is establishing a dedicated public art fund. So there's currently no existing special fund for the arts, meaning that there's no way in which we can roll over any money previously allocated to public art, to any public art installations or anything of that sort. So by simple council direction, as we go into this budget process and in preparation for adopting next year's fiscal year budget, if we can actually establish a special fund for public art, that would go a long way in allowing us to have the resources necessary to start doing larger public art installations outside of the utility box. Third, there is, of course, many discussions being had around an adjustment to the transient occupancy tax, the TOT. And so we, as a commission, wanted to ask of the council, as that's being considered, if it is approved and we do move forward as a city with an increase to the TOT, that a certain portion of it be dedicated to the arts or the public art fund, more specifically, because there is such an established connection between tourism and public art and art offerings. We think this would be a wonderful use of city resources to further attract tourists and visitors to our city. The fourth item is to increase, we would ask the council to consider increasing the cannabis tax allocation of 0.5% to a full percent so that we can better and more fully fund the Arts and Culture Master Plan. Right now, I think as we know, or as has been discussed to some extent, especially amongst the Arts Commission, this 0.5% has plateaued more or less at about $230,000 a year. And so that has greatly restricted the sort of art projects that we can pursue, and of course beautifying the city. So we'd love to see an increase there. If there are any other areas in which we can find a 0.5% that's not currently being allocated or used. Oh, sorry, excuse me. And then going to number 5, we do, as was mentioned, have there's been a process to find a consultant to update our Arts and Culture Master Plan. And this is tied in with number 6, approving this new budget that would also fund this master plan update. The issue that we've run into is that the specific ordinance language lays out in detail, or in specificity, I should say, that the cannabis tax revenue goes to fund the Arts and Culture Master Plan, and Finance Department made clear to us that technically, as there's no council-approved master plan going forward, there's, in some sense, a possibility or reason as to why arts might not be funded, or at least there's legal grounds to do so. So we'd ask that as this comes forward, the consultant is considered and potentially approved if it pleases the council. And with that, the budget framework that we have just coming up in a moment from Chair Ochoa. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Darian. I also want to acknowledge Commissioner Lucia, who played an important role in shaping the framework and priorities. She, Commissioner Darian, and staff formed a commission-supported study group, and that led the groundwork to what you've heard tonight. What I'd like to present momentarily are 2 illustrative framework slides that show council how the city arts funding can be organized more effectively under our current operating conditions without the arts specialists included in our budget. And before I dive in, I just want to highlight an important moment that we find ourselves, just to kind of echo Commissioner Darian's comments. Our current Arts and Culture Master Plan ends this fiscal year, and an updated plan has not yet been approved by council. And this creates a transitional period that requires thoughtful planning to ensure that there's no disruption in the programs and services that we provide to our community. 2 models that you'll see on the following slides are designed with that reality in mind. Both frameworks also account to the anticipated costs of the master plan update, so that moving forward on the update does not create an additional pressure to the city's general fund. Both scenarios are built around straightforward principle. Core programming and contractual obligations are funded first, and once those foundational commitments are met, the remaining funds are directed towards a dedicated public art fund, one capable of supporting the kind of visible long-term improvements that residents deserve. These are not theoretical models, they're practical and responsible frameworks that produce resources grounded in the resources that we already have. And they show what's possible even when those resources are aligned with purpose and intent. Okay, the first slide shows our proposed budget under the current cannabis tax allocation, our single source of funding. Across those fiscal years, the total budget for events and initiative, as Commissioner Darian mentioned, is hovering around $230,000, reflecting a relatively stable funding picture when revenues are properly aligned with their intended purpose. And I think what's different about proposed 26 and 27 and proposed 27, 28, we decided to move the $30,000 from free at Sigerstrom Center campus over to the arts grant programming, just to reflect the need of our community. There's some modest increases in art venture and action arts programs, as well as galleries. And this is just a theoretical model. Obviously, finance would need direction from this. Ordinance would have to be rewritten. But just to kind of give you an illustration and exploration of what's possible if arts was funded at a full 1% through the cannabis tax revenue. And if TOT increase goes to voters this November, arts funding should be a part of that conversation. Expanding cannabis revenue is another opportunity. And through the current account structures, we could direct how those fundings are and reflect, is reflected in our memo. Together, this signals a commitment to diversifying our funding stream and keeping the arts well supported in the City of the Arts. Slide 14, I just want to take a moment to humble brag because our commission earned it. The press you see here is a testament to what's possible, even under the most challenging circumstances. And it speaks to the strength of having a clear, well-structured plan in place. 2024, the public art sculpture in the Mariposa Garden on the west side by Mary Isabel Bazan was featured in the LA Times and also earned a local CBS segment. In 2025, our poet laureate, Daniel Hansen, was highlighted in the middle article. And very recently, the piece on the right covers the Sidewalk Poetry Program. Our first year came with challenges. As a newly inaugurated commission, we were still getting oriented, and the city experienced a period of transition with the search of a new PACS director. Thank you, Assistant City Manager Alma Reyes, who stepped in to fill that role for several months and kept us moving forward until Director Gruner came on board. And despite the circumstances, we were able to forge ahead, and that was in large part due to two things. We had an arts and culture master plan as our guiding framework and the expertise of our art staffer, Laurette Gardner. Together, they kept us moving in the right direction and kept us from stalling. And this is proof of what's possible, even in difficult circumstances. Now imagine what we can do with that momentum. And before we go into Q&A, Council, thank you for your time this evening. We covered a great deal, and we appreciate your interest. Like I said, this is a pivotal moment. The groundwork is laid, the programs are growing, the community is ready. With your support, we have a real opportunity to really fully own our identity and brand as City of the Arts. It's more than about beautification and adornment. It's about experiential infrastructure. And one of the most cost-effective investments a city can make. Funding in the arts consistently yields strong returns in local spending, tourism, safety, and quality of life. Consider this. According to a 2024 tourism economics report commissioned by Travel Costa Mesa, our city has a $1.1 billion tourism economy, anchored in part by our cultural institutions. This actively generates $50 million in state and local taxes. These are real numbers. The city is capturing an enormous economic value from its art identity while investing very little to sustain it or grow it. This is an imbalance that we're asking your help to correct. Before we close, two quick invitations. Please join us at our next art crawl on May 30th. It'll be a fun day spotlighting local creative businesses. Spots fill up fast, so sign up. And we hope to see you at the fairgrounds on July 3rd for our Unity Choir, a multi-generational performance featuring 250 voices across our community. I would like to invite some of you to participate, and that will be produced by our very own Commissioner Wondercheck. Thank you again, and staff is on hand for questions.
Great presentation, thank you. Council, Councilmember Pettis?
Mr. Mayor,
yeah.
I just have a couple of closing comments, if I may.
Oh, sure.
Okay. So I know tonight we heard the accomplishments and the goals and the objectives, including the budgetary recommendations. The proposed concepts and recommendations are thought-out ideas to support and grow arts in Costa Mesa, including the development of a new arts and culture master plan. The proposed recommendations are meant to initiate dialogue and for council to provide a general sense of direction, as some recommendations need additional research and analysis for feasibility. On a final note, I would like to thank our arts specialist, Laurette Gardner, She has done a tremendous job in implementing the master plan and working with the commissioners and doing the programmatic things, that were outlined to the community. And I just want to note that this is her last week. She is moving on. She got a position down with the city of Encinitas as their arts manager. And so we will definitely, obviously miss her and wish her all the best. But she was definitely a centerpiece for moving a lot of these things forward. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for your service. Give our regards to Scott Drapkin. Yeah. All the good ones go to Encinitas. All right. Anyway, Councilmember Pettis.
Yeah, great job, guys. Thank you for doing this. I mean, finally, we get to hear from my favorite commission on the arts. I don't know if it's late, though. I just had a question. I might be misguided here, but I'd like to hear from maybe Director Gruner on this and one of the folks on the commission for sure, probably Fisher, because I remember when I watched this particular meeting, I'm just looking at this budget, and I remember there was a unanimously approved proposal from the commission, and I'm wondering, was there any material changes made by staff? And if so, was there any discussion or direction from the commissioners on that? And I want to say maybe large-scale temporary installations got lined out. Fisher, maybe since you did the numbers on that one, if you wouldn't mind, and also I could hear from staff on that to see. I could be way off on this, or I don't know. Just clarify for me, please.
Would you like to address this first, Director Gruner, or Michelle? Oh. Well, that is very good, Councilmember Pettis, because looking at this, we did not discuss this. I think I had left fiscal year 25-26 as is and had budgeted, though I think it was at an amount of $100,000 for a 0.5%, $50,000 in 26-27, and then $50,000 in 27-28. For the full percent, we did $100,000 in 26-27. So this has changed that aspect. Again, I know I had mentioned comments at a previous council meeting in a more personal capacity, so I recognize that's not the place to discuss that here. But that was not, I think, what was approved by the commission, if I'm remembering correctly. But please correct me if I'm wrong. I don't recall.
Thank you, Commissioner Derderian and Councilmember Pettis. So there were corrections made, not necessarily edits. So for the fiscal year 25 and 26, there is currently $60,000 there that was for the large-scale installations that we were not able to use due to it being placed on a CIP list because it's a much larger amount to create. Neff Park was the plan to do a large sculpture garden there, but it requires about $400,000 to do. So every year we've kind of had that money there but have not used it. So the idea this year was for the 25-26, that $60,000 was to be for the master plan update that we talked to finance about using that. And then for the next fiscal year, if the funding was approved at the same amount, would be also used to fund that master plan update. So it was just adjusted because the amounts weren't correct to begin with. And then also the Arts Commission stipends were added in there, $8,400 that weren't in there either from that original. That makes sense.
Okay. We got to let commissioners be commissioners, though. So if we're going to make edits, I would ask that whoever, the chair of CHOA, be notified about. It's a big deal. That's a big. We need, the goal here is to let them do art stuff. And so if we're going to change things, I mean, and I understand the answer is a good answer, but I would appreciate if the commissioners are made aware when changes like that are made in the future. But thank you, appreciate it.
Councilmember Pettis, I would like to say that I was notified of that change. It was a clerical error that had been on previous budget conversations, and so it was just omitted in that presentation.
I have a question. Oh, sorry, did you want to ask a question, Arliss? Sorry, Councilmember Reynolds?
I think I'm third in line.
No, you're ahead of me.
Yeah, okay. A few questions. So thank you for the report. I know a lot of us have been excited to get an update on the arts stuff. Sorry, the art stuff. I don't mean to diminish it. It's late. I really appreciate attachment 4. I think the last time this was in front of council was approving the master plan, so seeing kind of what was done, what in the plan wasn't done. I have just a couple questions on that I want to ask about. I think these are called policy. I don't know. 3.3.2 says retain cultural arts committee with a new mission, and it says we did do that. Can you explain, do we have an arts committee that's continuing to do work? What does that refer to?
Yes, I can answer that question. So we created a volunteer application for anyone who wanted to volunteer in the arts, but so far we haven't really had anyone do that or participate in it. And it's on our website that you can apply to be an arts volunteer. I think that is what that meant initially.
Do we advertise? I suspect there are a lot of people who'd be interested in doing that and just aren't aware of that opportunity. So can you just expand a little bit more on what someone would do if they did fill out that form to be a volunteer for the arts?
Yes, of course. So we have just kind of a volunteer application for the department. So that was put up a few years ago when we created the Arts Commission online. It's on our website. It would just be helping with events, just various art venture, art crawl, things like that, mainly.
Okay. Yeah, maybe that's something for the commission to take up. I would explore why there's no response to that and how residents interested in supporting the arts more broadly can be helpful. Shoot, there was one other one I wanted to pull out here. Oh, yeah. I saw that we actually do have, on our website, we actually do have an opportunity for private art donations. I was curious if we've had any uptake on that.
We have not.
No, okay. Is that something similar? It's on our website, but we probably just haven't done a lot of promotion?
Yeah, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
Okay, I think the rest of mine are comments, so I'll pass it on to the next. Thank you.
Councilmember Mar.
Yeah, first I just want to say thank you. That was a great report. It's been really exciting to see some of the work that was started a while ago when Ms. Ashendorf and I were on the committee together continue, and yeah, really, really great progress. I do, this question for staff, is it staff's understanding that the extent of the budget for the arts is that cannabis tax revenue and only that cannabis tax revenue?
Well, it's staff's understanding that the cannabis revenue was initially designed to fund the master plan, the arts master plan, with the anticipation that the revenue coming from the tax was going to be sufficient to cover that. So as the years have gone on, the $230,000 was kind of like the threshold, and that was kind of the consistency of what we're getting.
Yeah.
And then the remainder was supplemented, through the general fund, with cost-saving measures from, at the year's end. Basically, if there was some type of cost savings, it would help fill in that remaining, funding that was required.
And does that include staff time, staff support? Because I'm not seeing it on here, but I think the suggestion from Mr. Dudarian was that it was.
Yeah, so in the initial master plan, it was listed as a funding item to have an art specialist funded through, in that plan, in the arts master plan.
Yeah. Mr. Mayor, can I just take a little bit of a liberty? This isn't a question, but I don't think that was the intent. I think that the cannabis tax revenue was meant to augment the opportunity for arts in the city. Mm-hmm. There was funding set aside to create a master plan, and we wanted to start some of these initiatives, and so there was a special fund created. It is not a restricted fund. We can't, it's not that we can't touch it for other things or that we can't put more funding into it. But this idea that cannabis tax is the only source of revenue, I don't think was this council's intention. Moreover, we don't fund commission stipends generally out of funds like this. I mean, that is part of the business of the city. And so to have staff time, commission stipends, some of these things in this very narrow pool of money, and then to say that that is all the funding that's available, it comes as a surprise to me. My understanding is just like we do with any other budget discussion, we say, here's what we want to accomplish in the next year, and here's the funding that's required in order to do that work. And so I would expect the cannabis tax revenue to help supplement those asks, but I don't think my intention was never and has never been to say that is the only source of funding that this commission can use. Moreover, I would also interpret this idea of the master plan is supposed to be the guiding document for what that budget might be, but the expectation was not that it was the only document, right? If there are other things that need to happen in support of the commission or the arts program in the city, nobody has said we're not allowed to add those things, right? I think it's sort of a best practice, and we've used this for parks and many other places to say, here's the master plan and here's what we want to accomplish. But we never do that and then tie one hand behind our back and say, and now you must live with it for eternity. And so city managers, this is probably a better discussion for the budget that's upcoming. But I think we've painted ourselves into a corner in a way that I'll just speak for myself. I certainly did not intend, and I've been here the whole way through this being a commission or a committee and then a commission and even getting a budget. I think a few of you in the audience can recall the days when I think we had a $35,000 budget for the committee, right? And that was it. And I was ironing tablecloths at 10 o'clock at night to get ready for Art Venture. And so, my intention was never to create a commission and then paint it in this teeny, tiny little box with not a lot of flexibility. So let's revisit that. Thanks for letting me get on a soapbox, Mr. Mayor.
No, I'm going to jump right on that same soapbox. She's 100% right.
But she said paint in a corner. You said to paint it in the corner.
Yeah.
Arts good.
Yeah. No, she's 100% right. She's demonstrably right, because the cannabis tax lagged a long time after the master plan. And if you look at the master plan, which is part of our record for 56 and 57, it has a line that says the total funding, and it's all coming from the general fund, because at that point in time, there was no cannabis tax. We didn't open the first cannabis store until a year and a half into the funding, right? And so, that's your understanding, and I respect that. There's just no basis for your understanding. Respectfully, we never voted on that. But I have another question though for Mr. Coe. So we were up here talking a little earlier, doing a little sidebar. But where is there actually a line item in the budget for what do you call it? The arts spend?
Yeah. So for some clarification on the background. The general fund has backfilled this fund. So since its inception in 21.
Yeah, but hold on, let me stop you. Yes. I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you.
Okay.
I just to build on this. It's not about a backfill.
Yes.
Okay. It's about just exactly what Councilmember Marr said. When we voted on it, it was supposed to be an enhancement or a supplement. We didn't say that, okay, we're going to have the cannabis tax and then we're going to backfill it. Then all that does is effectively take the money that we're putting in, that we've directed, and that just subsidizes the general fund. It's just a misconception that's created over the years. Okay.
Mayor.
But hold on one second. So, but is it where is it in the budget? That's my only question to you.
If I may, it's the Arts Master Plan Fund, which is Fund 130.
Arts Master Plan, thank you very much. Arts and Cultural Master Plan, it's actually for 40251, salaries and benefits. Okay, so let's look at this for a second. If you compare that document, our budget, thank you, and you compare it to the master plan, it's substantially underfunded compared to what the council voted on. I mean, how did that occur?
That is correct, Mayor. So the fund itself, and so what finance does at the end of the year with the salary savings or budgetary savings, when you take all the revenue minus expense, finance actually brings a list of the savings at the end of the year. And then we ask for council's feedback on what you want to prioritize. And so in 22-23, the general fund supported the Cultural Arts Master Plan with $485,000. And so, but in total, since its inception, the general fund has supported this fund by over $600,000. And so in the event that the year ends in a surplus, that will do the same as well. So that's my understanding since
I get it, but if you add these numbers together, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, and we could talk about this more as we explore the budget. But if you add these numbers in the master plan that we just concluded, I'm just doing some rough math in my head. It's roughly 1.8 million, right? So we funded the master plan that the council voted on. We funded a third of it. I mean,
well, and to be fair, Mr. Mayor, we haven't like funded all of the parks master plan, in this budget, right? And so I don't think my expectation was that we were like magically funding every single thing right away in the master plan. That should be an annual discussion based on what the following year's budget is going to be. And so, I think it's water under the bridge now, but let's fix it in this next budget.
Yeah, I got it, and I appreciate it. It's just a understanding, as you put it, that crept in over the years, and it's now become commonplace, but it wasn't anything we ever voted on. I have one other question, truly a question. It has some budgetary nexus. The next master plan, okay? You have in your thing $60,000 and so forth and so on. And I remember, and I was like startled when Director Gruner said, it's a young commission. And I thought he meant the members of the commission were young. And I'm not saying the members of the commission are old. I would say they're experienced, right? And I'm using that as and very experienced and very well-versed in this. In lieu of spending money on a consultant, what do you think about this? At least trying it. Having an ad hoc committee, especially in the day of AI and things like that. It's not backbreaking work. Have the commission do an ad hoc committee to develop a draft of the next version of the master plan. What are your thoughts on that? And that would save us some money on a consultant.
I can speak to that first,
Yes.
Director Gruner. I think there are a number of reasons to have an outside consultant. Third-party recommendations are harder to dismiss as self-serving or politically motivated. There's credibility, objectivity. There's specialized expertise. While we're all very professional and have our own kind of background and experience, master plan requires community engagement methodologies that we don't have capacity for. Data analysis, probably peer city benchmarking. We could take a stab. Should we? I don't know. These aren't skills that city arts staff were hired for necessarily, or kind of skills that they practice regularly. And also, I just want to remind everyone that our one art specialist has resigned, so we effectively do not have a dedicated staff person, and it will probably take some time to find her successor. There's also bandwidth. PAX is already stretched pretty thin, and grants and daily operations would have to go on the back burner. And a big part is community input. Residents tend to speak more candidly to a neutral facilitator rather than a city staff or commissioner they might attach a particular agenda to. And it's money on the table. California Arts Council, Arts in the Parks, funded through California NEA, they all looked to local agencies to see if they have a current plan in place to apply for grants. As well as, you know, I think Councilmember Reynolds asked about philanthropy or private funders. They often look to see if we have a current plan, and that gives those potential parties confidence and trust that they can make a good investment. Accountability is a big component in having a consultant-led plan. Those are just my thoughts.
Other than that, you think it's a great idea?
And don't even get me started on AI. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Chair.
Director Gruner, would you like to add?
I think that question's been answered.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions? We still have to open it up to the public.
Okay.
Anybody from the public wish to speak on this? Yes, sir.
Good evening, everybody. Eric Ringman, aggregate of about 30 years as a resident of Costa Mesa, but for the last 6, especially a practicing artist. So I want to say I'm very much in support of what I heard, especially point number 2 about the rolling over fund. And also glad to hear by surprise, it looks like we've got a lot more headroom than we thought with this budget. When it comes to the display of public art, there's no reason that we can't be playing that game the same way that you see places like Palm Springs, Beverly Hills, West Hollywood, you know, sculptures in the median. I want to see it. Laguna, you know, has become this weird sort of bizarro inversion of what it once was, and so who's going to take up the mantle of the preeminent art spot, the cutting edge in the county of Orange now? I think Costa Mesa is the place, and whether it's germane to this particular plan or worthy of further discussion at another time, I'd love to announce that something that facilitates or just even allows there to be live-work facilities, particularly for arts, I think would be a humongous boon. We see that in LA, we see that in Long Beach, cities around the globe, and it's the kind of thing that I realize there's a little more to it than this, but can be accomplished with the stroke of a pen, and I think is just a fantastic opportunity. So I'm looking forward to seeing us do everything we can to live up to that tagline right there, City of the Arts. So thank you for your time, Council and Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Dr. Kelly Brown, Chair of PACS, but just here in my own capacity. And I really appreciate the comments that you just shared. Hadn't really thought about the live work for artists, but I just want to say thank you to the Arts Commission for everything that you do, and just want to recognize that. I was at a gallery opening on Saturday night at a little gallery that I had never been to called House of Danger. And so, Chair Ochoa, you listed all of the different things that investing in arts gets you, and the one thing I didn't hear you say is community. And when I went to this gallery opening, and this was a gallery, it's the gallery by 7-Eleven. I don't know if any of you know where that is. There's an art gallery over there. Never been to it. And it was watching the community and just being a part of it for the night was really inspiring. And so I just wanted to say, I think we need to invest more in the arts. I am a little shocked to hear about the budget for arts. To be honest, to see all they've done with that figure, and it makes me wonder, what if we invested a little bit more in the arts and we thought a little bit bigger around that? I think that that's something that would be incredibly important. I do think that the Arts Commission has also done a really great job working across different parts of the city. And so I just want to acknowledge for a moment that the Arts Commission and the Parks Commission has worked together. And it's another way of thinking about the integration of arts across all aspects of the city. It's a way to cut down on costs because you're combining resources, you're getting people to think together. And so I see a lot of possibility in that. I do just Mayor, because you came up with the idea of a subcommittee working on the master plan, I tend to agree with what the chair said. I think what I would say is it would be great when you hire consultants to do these types of things to have subcommittees of your commissions involved earlier in that process, right? Because I know sometimes, I'll just speak from my personal experience with PACs. I would say the same thing, having the capacity to do that on our own would be really challenging, but at times we've gotten reports and I'm like, I really wish some of us, whoever it was a part of that conversation earlier. So that might be something to think about. I think your idea has merit, but I do think for all the reasons that you articulated, maybe there's some sort of hybrid process. And lastly, I just want to say thank you to Lorette. I have had the opportunity to work with you on the Poet Laureate program and just really respect and admire you. And I will say, I'm just really sorry that our city lost you. And I wish you the best. And in my professional life, whenever I lose a staff member, which isn't very often, but I think about what could be different to actually keep really good people. And so I will just end by saying, I wish you the best. I hope we will get somebody even half as good as you are. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Excuse me, good evening. My name is Sean Weehan, and I'm a proud resident homeowner here in Costa Mesa since 2022. This is my first city council meeting that I've been to. You guys work late. Thank you for working so late for the city. Appreciate it. If this is early, then great. So in 2023, I had an idea to host a small concert in my neighborhood park, which is Canyon Park. And with the support of Council Member Arliss Reynolds and the Parks and Recs Department, we received a special event permit to bring that idea to life. And as our first event, we had several hundred people attend, and it was clear the community wanted more. And to grow the event, we needed financial support. And with the help of the Arts Commission, we were fortunate enough to receive grants in both 2024 and 2025. And that early investment served as a seed funding for what has become Songs in the Canyon, a 3-day music festival and a few-day music and arts festival, which, given a new permit this coming June, it'll take place June 12th to the 14th, featuring more than 35 bands, local artists, and numerous small businesses, all centered on west side of Costa Mesa. Now, what started as a small neighborhood gathering has grown into something that truly reflects the spirit of our city. And that kind of growth is only possible through a strong partnership between the community and the city. If Costa Mesa wants to continue expanding its impact in the arts, that partnership must continue and must grow. Investment in the arts isn't just about funding events, it's about building a sustainable, creative ecosystem that attracts talent, activates public spaces, and strengthens community identity. Now, I'm committed here as a citizen to do my part, to keep running Songs in the Canyon as long as I can, and to contribute as best as I can here as a resident. But I also hope the city will continue to sustain its commitment to the arts, and I just respectfully ask that you continue to prioritize the support of the arts, not just for the work that I'm doing with Songs in the Canyon, but for the broader creative future of Costa Mesa. Thank you for your leadership.
Thank you for your leadership. Okay, anybody on Zoom?
Yes, Craig, please.
Craig, you have the floor.
Hi, thank you. Sorry, I wanted to speak today on a topic that I care a lot about. I've lived through something that a lot of teenagers in this city are facing alone, the mental health crisis, and they really have nowhere to run. And when I was struggling, I looked to my school for help. It's what I was told to do. And what I found was a long line in a cramped office space. And that line I sat in for the entirety of my lunch. And then I had to go to my next class. I didn't see my counselor that day, but I did see an issue. My school has 4 counselors, and in that office there were 4 lines with equal turnouts. According to the CDC, nearly 1 in 3 high school students reported persistent feelings of sadness or hopelessness in recent years. Yet the national average is 1 school counselor for every 408 students. This is more than double the recommended ratio. And here in Orange County, the data confirms this. According to the Orange County Department of Education, 1 in 4 seventh graders and 1 in 3 high schoolers report chronic feelings of sadness or hopelessness, and 1 in every 7 or 8 students seriously considered suicide in the past year. Our schools are simply not equipped to handle this. And the consequences are real. Untreated mental health struggles lead to lower academic performance, higher dropout rates, and in the worst cases, self-harm. This is not a private problem, it's a community problem that demands a community solution. That's why I wanted to talk to this council about investing in expanding youth mental health programs, whether that means funding additional school counselors, creating accessible community-based health services, or partnering with local organizations already doing this work. I'm standing here today because I'm one of the lucky ones. I found help eventually, but every teenager in the city deserves that support from day one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nancy, please.
Nancy, you have the floor.
Good evening, distinguished mayor and city council members. My name is Nancy Warzer-Brady. I work for a nonprofit called Backhouse Dance. We're a contemporary dance nonprofit, and we've been working with in the schools and the community for over 23 years. We have had the really great fortune of receiving grants from the Arts Commission to provide contemporary dance education in the schools and also in the community. We recently have started a new series called Dance for Joy and Well-Being, which was at the Costa Mesa Senior Center. And if I may just comment on the eloquent comments by the team before me, it's research proves that the arts relieve stress, anxiety. The arts produce creativity that is so needed for those who are struggling with all kinds of mental diseases. The arts contribute to the creative economy, which you've heard so beautifully by the Arts Commissioner's presentation, and very specifically how it's contributed to the city of Costa Mesa. We are at a tipping point to see Costa Mesa just really live and breathe in its city of the arts. And I'm really excited to know about your support of the Arts Master Plan, your care and concern. The arts improve quality of life for all. Dance brings joy, and dance makes our life better. The arts make our lives better. Parks make our lives better. And you, all of the city council members, with your care and concern and expertise, make the quality of the life for city of Costa Mesa better. Thank you for your support of the arts. Backhouse Dance is thrilled to be able to bring Dance for Joy and Well-Being to seniors and veterans and to people of all ages. Thank you.
Thank you.
No further speakers, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Close public comment. We need, I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion to receive and file.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Marr. Yeah, really wonderful presentation. Thank you for what you did. I think we got out a lot of discussion here and raised a lot of issues, all the issues that I wanted to raise. So I appreciate it. Good discussion. Thank you, staff. Thank you, council. Councilmember Marr.
Agreed. I think maybe the only thing I would add is just making sure we've got a recruitment so we can continue to staff the commission appropriately as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other, Councilmember Reynolds?
Yeah, I understand that the RFP for the next master plan is coming to us soon. Do we have an estimate for that?
The RFP is complete, and we can bring that forward, yeah, at any time.
Oh, next meeting?
Well, I will definitely coordinate with the city manager and kind of see, yeah, but. Yeah,
okay, do we have a date for that?
None, there's no date confirmed yet at this time, no.
Okay, but you have a recommended candidate?
Okay, so, yeah, I think that'll be the time I'll probably give some input on things I'm interested in seeing. I do want to highlight one thing that I try to think about, and I think it's important for us to think about. We know, I was so surprised to hear that no one had volunteered to be part of this, and I know we have so much energy in this community for arts and culture. We see so many events around the city already, totally unrelated to what we're doing here at City Hall, right? And so as we think about what funding or staff support or other services that we can do to support the arts, I think it's also really important to think about, like, where are we maybe getting in the way of the arts, right? Like, what can we not do or stop doing to better unleash a lot of energy that already exists in the community? So those are the kinds of things, some of the things I'll be looking for when that does come back. Also, a couple meetings ago, I talked about, how are we looking at opportunities to achieve multiple benefits with the actions that we're doing? And I love the comment about sort of integration with other activities that we're doing at City Hall. For example, on a ride around the city yesterday, I just noticed, gosh, like, our bus benches are not in great condition. Is that an opportunity to invite artists to come and not just make them look nicer, but actually create artistic elements from our bus benches? So really thinking about not just sort of arts as its own thing, but how can we advance arts through other work that we're doing in the city. So I'm excited for that next discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, let's call for the question.
Mayor Stevens, please.
Oh, sorry, I thought I voted.
Motion carries 7-0.
Okay, now we're going to go on to our old business items. Thank you very much. Thank you, I appreciate it. Sleep tight. Old business items. Number 1.
This is adoption of an ordinance entitled, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Costa Mesa, California, adding Chapter 4, Trap, Neuter, Return, to Title 3 of the Costa Mesa Municipal Code to establish a trap, neuter, return program for community cats. Presentation by Lieutenant Zelinsky.
Lieutenant Zelinsky,
Good evening, Council.
you're on the clock. How quickly can you do this?
I can do this really quickly. Thank you for having me. This is for adoption of the City of Costa Mesa second reading. Staff recommends the City Council adopt the ordinance for trap and neuter return program for community cats within the City of Costa Mesa. And in a summary, this would legalize activity that is potentially already being done by animal advocates and legalize free-roaming cats that have been returned to the community via TNR. All TNR and neutering will be conducted by animal advocates and sponsor organization with no financial impact to the city. Ordinance drafted with input from the community stakeholders, current TNR providers, and the Animal Services Committee. Are there any questions?
Any questions, council? No questions? Let's hear it for the public.
No, Mr. Mayor.
I move staff recommendation. Councilmember Chavez, Mayor Pro Tem Chavez seconds. I have no comments, comments. Call for the question.
Motion carries 7-0.
All right, good stuff.
Thank you.
Bingo. All right, so then now our last item is old business item number 2.
Thank you. This is an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Costa Mesa, California, amending Chapter 3 of Title 15 of the Costa Mesa Municipal Code relating to drainage and making findings of exemption under the California Environmental Quality Act. And Mr. Seth Rahman, please.
Mr. Seth Rahman, now did you just see that last one?
Mr. Mayor, yes, I did.
All right, good.
And City Council, we have a very eager candidate there, Bobby Fallotti. He's our senior engineer, making a first-time presentation to the council. So if you can indulge him, he'll be quick.
So you sound we should all settle in for this PowerPoint?
A short presentation.
All right.
I don't want to take the privilege away from him.
That's all right. Go ahead. Turn your mic on.
Turn your mic on.
Oh. Then you can take your time.
Now it's on.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. I'm Bobby Fallotti. I'll be
presenting this adoption of an ordinance amending the municipal code relating to public works storm drainage. So this is a continued item from April 21st, and where the City Council discussed the appeals process related to the ordinance and the language in Section 1575 appeals. After some review, the city attorney recommended the item be continued so that we could make corrections to the ordinance and the process by which the appeals and potential reductions in the drainage fee could be made. City Council opened the public hearing and continued the item until the next regularly scheduled City Council meeting, which is today. The ordinance today has been updated in Section 1574, credits, reimbursements, and reductions. In the previous ordinance, we had made some changes to the 1575 section. Now, a developer will be allowed a drainage fee reduction provided they are able to demonstrate substantial showing of evidence that they have increased the site permeability by using low-impact design features such as bioswales and infiltration basins. That will be part of the 1574 credits, reimbursements, and reductions section. A request for a drainage fee reduction and the evidence to support the request may be submitted through the permit application process in TESA. And upon review of proper evidence, the Public Works Director has the authority to reduce the drainage fee as warranted. Now, in 1574, a developer may appeal the Public Works Director's decision to the City Council pursuant to Section 1575 appeals. And the staff is recommending that the City Council adopt the ordinance 26-05 approving revisions to Chapter 3 of Title 15 of the City of Costa Mesa Municipal Code to incorporate the updated drainage impact fees, revise administrative provisions for fee collection, and align city code language with the current state law and the city's adopted storm drainage impact fee nexus study. We also recommend that the adoption of the ordinance is not a project under the California Environmental Quality Act pursuant to CEQA guidelines. Pretty straightforward. If there's any questions, staff be happy to answer them.
Well done. Do you have a question, Councilmember Morak?
No, I was just going to say good job.
Anybody else have a question? No questions? Open up to the public? No public? Anybody on Zoom?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Nobody on Zoom? Close public comment. We've got a motion by Councilmember Mark,
I'll move the staff recommendation.
seconded by Councilmember Reynolds. Do you have anything to say regarding the motion?
One, good job on your presentation. Two, I actually think you cleaned up the language even better than the gibberish I had said from the dais, so well done on that as well. Thank you.
Anything from the second? Close, so let's call for the question.
Council, motion carries 7-0.
Okay, good. Okay, we're adjourned. We're going to go back to our closed session in the community room.